I'm Lloyd by when I fuck.
Guy when you're looking. Guy when you're looking.
Jamakwego irunjadu pupenje no bakena dunlew. Yenu kwa kena dolar piemba elwe toike ben dolar adu. Pichen bang tundunga dolar kidal. Kuran kin dolar tiaki wenkin makwe kwa kin dolar kagya. Jamakwego irunjadu pupenje no bakena dunlew. Yenu kwa kena dolar piemba elwe toike ben dolar adu. Tundunga dolar kidal kuran kin dolar tiaki wenkin makwe kwa kin dolar kagya jama kwe irun jadu pupenje no bakena dunlew yenu kwa bakena dolar pimba yalwe toike ben dolar adu pikin bang tundunga dolar kidal kuran kin dolar tiaki wenkin makwe kwa kin dolar kagya pikin bang tundunga dolar kidal Kurankin dolar tiao juwenkin makwe bakwakin dolar gagaikin bang tundung dolar kidal Kurankin dolar tiao juwenkin makwe bakwakin dolar gagai jadan yom gula yom kala yom be magala par majong awan kijama majik mana tialam narpana kumau tong agura betong
Good. Come on, Abraham. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are tuning in. Welcome to Lake State Media. Today, on 27th of July, 2024, we have a good meeting, a discussion that we will be talking about here. My name is Isaac Tieng Paul, and in the studio with me, co-host Abraham Mading Wade, and our guest speakers tonight, Ustaz Mading Wade, senior member of SUNA, and also engineer Michael Kenyi, one of the seniors of SUNA as well. These are the participants of the ongoing peace talk currently, Tumaini Peace Initiative in Nairobi, Kenya. Welcome to the studio, everybody. I welcome all of you. Abraham, I think is on the phone.
Welcome. Sorry, can you hear me? Edmund Yakani joining us on in the clubhouse.
Okay. Either pick up from there, Abraham. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Isaac. Let me welcome the guests who are joining us in Facebook, YouTube, and also in Clubhouse. Thank you for tuning in to Lake State Media. Let me welcome again our guests, Ustaz Mading and Engineering Michael Wadi. Welcome to Let's State. This is an honor for us to host you guys. Isaac, you can go ahead and let the guests introduce themselves while we dive into our conversation. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Abraham. We'll start with Ustaz Mading Wade. Yes, the floor will be yours to introduce yourself and also greet the audience. You are muted. Unmute your microphone. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brother Isaac Tiang Paul. I would like first to greet our brother Abraham Madid. Good morning in USA, and good morning to you, Isaac, in eastern coast of Australia, Brisbane. Good night. Good night to myself in Sydney, and good night also to Engineer Michael Kenyi in Melbourne, Australia. My warm greetings to Lake Media viewers worldwide. As you hear from Isaac, my name is Mading Wade. I am a senior member of SUNA, and also I was a delegate of SUNA in Tumaini Consensus, which is going on at the moment in Nairobi, Kenya. As some of you may know or may not know that what is SUNA in fact. SUNA is one of the opposition formed in 2022, 21, end of 2021. The co-founders of SUNA, they are SSPMA of General Stephen Boy, who is the chairman of SUNA at the moment, and NPM chaired by Dr. Matul Gorgagag. These two organizations, they came together and they formed the platform which is called SUNA. Also, we in SUNA, we are members of NCF, which is an opposition umbrella of different political parties and political groups and academics and also professionals. Our role is to bring people of South Sudan together and unite them, the unity of purpose, and for us to achieve a change in our country. At the moment, we are in peace talks in Nairobi, and SUNA itself, as most of you know, the peace talks in Nairobi is between the government of Artigono, the government of South Sudan, and the opposition, which are non-signatories opposition, comprised of two main groups or main three groups, which is SOMA, with two representatives of SOMA, the real SPLM of Honorable General Paganamon, and the sub of General Paul Malone, and we in SUNA, headed by General, our leader of SUNA, Stephen Boyle Bronyang, and we have also NAS RCC, led by General Mario Lacu Thomas, and also we have PCCA, is one of the main participants in these peace talks, and other stakeholders, which are the civil society group. And I'm very happy to see our brother and activist of civil society, Edmund Yakani, among us later. Based on this introduction, Our main topic of tonight will be the Tumaini peace talks, which is going on in Nairobi. What is the purpose of these peace talks, and why do we need peace talks? And why it started in Nairobi? And how it comes to be? As most of you are aware that it was a request from our President, General Salva Kiir Mayardit. He requested from his brother, Dr. William Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya, that he needs from William Ruto to mediate between the government of Artigono and the non-signatories opposition. We received invitation as opposition, and we accepted that invitation because we are peace-loving. We are not just fighting for the sake of fight or opposing the government for the sake of opposing the government. We need change. But if there is an opportunity that government want to sit with us, we will come forward. We will try our level best to turn any stone for peace. And because we know peace is paramount and peace is very important for the people of South Sudan. Based on that, the peace talks kick on the 10th of May. It's almost now more than 2 months, and it's continuing in Nairobi. And there is a lot of progress in that peace talks. And the difference in this peace talks approach, the mechanism and the approach of this peace talks is totally different. We divide it into two. The first thing is what is the benefit of people of South Sudan to have these peace talks? We are talking about the grassroots causes of the conflict within the country, and we need to address this grassroots as the basis of the peace talks, not the power sharing, because power sharing is the dividends and the benefit of the political elites. But the custodian of the peace talks, of the custodian of any agreement, should be the people of the country, should be the masses, the people who are suffering at the moment, or facing a lot of challenges, security-wise, economics, and also the people who are living in internal displaced, and also people who are living in refugee camps. We think in opposition that this peace is essential for the people. And as our president turned to us and asked us as sons and daughters of this country, let us come together and we work for the peace and to rescue our country. We think we will not hesitate to bring peace in our country. As we know, our country is affected by regional conflict around us. For example, Sudan. And we know that economically we are facing a lot of difficulties. Some of you may know that we have more than 8 months without wages and salaries to government and civil employees in the country and military as well. Therefore, the call for rescuing the country is a genuine call. And we are very optimistic and we have highly trust the government that the government is serious for these peace talks. Therefore, it is our role also as an opposition to come together, work side by side with the government. It is not a time of who is going to score political win. It's a matter of how are we going to rescue our country and provide a peace, a genuine peace to our people in the country, regardless of where organization we are coming from. It is not a matter who is winning or who is losing. It is a matter of a genuine peace. It's a matter of working towards peace and stability in our country. Therefore, as an opposition, we have moral responsibility and obligation towards our people in the country and outside the country. And we want to make this platform as a platform for the whole South Sudanese and peace-loving and international community, regional forces, and other stakeholders for us to make this peace is the last piece or dividends for our people who have been deprived for all these years of security and stability and economic prosperity. In this little introduction, I will stop here and I will give it microphone back to you in the studio. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ustaz Mading Wade, for the introduction and the briefing that you gave us. The next is engineer Michael Kenyi. Mr. Michael, the floor is yours to introduce yourself and also a brief message. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Isaac and Brother Abraham for welcoming me into your studio. I take it as a privilege to come and be sharing my view as a group in this arena. I do see Brother Edmund Yakani has just popped up as well. Thanks, Brother Edmund, and your listeners to this Lake State Media who are listening to our sharing and preaching what our country needs at the moment. I am Michael Kenyi, otherwise mostly known as Kenyi Momo. I don't tend to use the Christian name. I have decided to go back to my roots and use my family names as my identity. And I want to share and continue with that. I belong to this party that Brother Mading has provided you with the details, SUNA, and he has given you the outline of how SUNA came to being. I was tapped on the shoulder by Dr. Motur to come and share this journey together of what we can do for our country, not what our country can do for us. And I thought that was a genuine call, a call that requires all of us as South Sudanese to rethink and offer what we can for our nation to bring peace. And that vision of peace is what I am here to share with you and to share with your audience, and to see how together we can go forward and build a country that belongs to all of us, a country that we can live in peace and harmony together, and a country that we all can develop together as people of South Sudan. I stop here and thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Bash Mahandis, Engineer Kenyi Momo. We welcome our brother, Mr. Edmund Yakani, just join us now. We will just go straight to you and give us your remarks and greetings to our audience. Edmund. Yakani, are you there? All right. Welcome.
Yes, sorry. I was feeling cold. I went to change my shirt. It's raining here, by the way.
Yeah, it's all right. It's okay. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I'm speaking from Juba, and my name's Edmund Yakani, Executive Director of CEPO, one of the civil society delegates to the Tumaini peace process. Of late, it's because we have made some progress in the Tumaini, but we know there are some stumbling blocks, or what we call some bit of challenges facing Tumaini. Of late, I'm now moving between Nairobi, Juba, Addis. This bit of the lobby work that we're trying to make sure that at least we help our country, as my brother have said. What can we do for our country than what our country can do for us? So I came to Juba from Addis, and specifically to follow up on the deadlocks that have arisen in terms of withdrawal of IO and some challenges and some misinterpretation of the Tumaini documents. Otherwise, I'm ready to join you, and we're here to argue constructively for the best interest of our country rather than for the best interest of our individual aspirations. We need to stand for South Sudan. We don't want South Sudan to stand for us. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Edmund Yakani. Abraham Madid will just leave you the floor. The mic will be yours now, and we kick off from here.
Okay, thank you, Brother Isaac, for wonderful introduce our guests to our audience. Let me welcome everyone, our guests. Ustaz Mading, let me start with you. We have seen a few days ago that the IO withdrew from the peace talk in Nairobi, Kenya on the July 16, 2024. And they, according to their press release, the reason why they withdrew from the peace talk is because they see that Tumaini is supposed to be a forum where all the political party can go and discuss. But now they see that Tumaini is a parallel with the RCS. So can you give us what is your reaction, your political as a part of peace talk in Nairobi peace talk? Can you tell us what's your reaction about the IO withdrew from the Nairobi peace talk? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Abraham Madid. Before I continue with this question or answering this question, I would like to welcome our brother Edmund Yakani. It's one of the most activists and one of the few people who taken South Sudan in his heart and is doing a lot of work to see that the peace prevail in our country, home country, South Sudan. I do applaud him and I do acknowledge his role since we were together in Nairobi and what has been done openly or behind the scene. And with this spirit, I hope South Sudan will achieve a permanent peace and a unity among the people, a unity of purpose among the people of South Sudan. Also, I will come to answer your question regarding the withdrawal of SPLMIO from peace talks. It was a surprise to us as an opposition to hear or to witness that one of the important partners within Artigono withdrawing from peace talks. As I mentioned before, these peace talks, when we started, it was not based between us as an opposition and different political parties within Artigono. It was a collective effort that we as opposition, we are talking with the government of national unity, Artigono, in which that IO is part of that government. Based on that and the request from the president of the country, General Salva Kiir Mayardit, we accepted the invitation and we start discussing the issues, political issues facing our country. The withdrawal of IO is unfortunate, but from us as an opposition, our stand is very clear. We need a united government in the country because peace cannot be achieved while some important partners within Artigono are not part of that peace process. We did not go to Nairobi to discuss or negotiate peace for us to see some of our brothers and important partners to exit the peace. If there are some issues of concern, I think the parties are working on that, and we will leave this subject to the government because the subject matter of the Artigono more than we as an opposition. We are not working to create a parallel peace or a Tumaini to come as a peace agreement or consensus to supersede the existing RRCs. Tumaini was based on, as I mentioned before, there was a peace talks. Several talks took place in Rome under San Egidio, partners, and the president of the country, General Salva Kiir Mayardit, requested from Kenya that the peace should be brought to Nairobi. And the first statement in the beginning of the peace, the first statement declaration, has mentioned, stipulated there that this peace is a continuation of what has been discussed in Nairobi. And what has been discussed in Nairobi recognized the importance and the spearheading and the importance and the basics of RRCs as the base of any peace talks. And exactly that's what Tumaini is doing. Tumaini is not created to come and overtook the RRCs. RRCs have a lot of things have been achieved through RRCs. Some challenges are there, and this is the nature of any peace agreement being signed. And we don't blame anybody. We don't want to play that game of blaming who is right and who is wrong. But our role as an opposition, we want to see our brothers and sisters back on the table in Nairobi for us to achieve a lasting peace to the people of South Sudan. As we are responsible politicians and parties, we need to show the responsibility and leadership to the people of South Sudan that we care about them. We don't care about our own interests. We care about the interests of people of South Sudan is the priority. Therefore, we are not here to criticize anyone. And by the way, in political arena, the differences in opinion is healthy. It's part of the political game. Does not mean that people are not united. There could be differences somewhere, and people come together and sit down and iron out all these differences and move forward, bearing in the mind that the interests of the nation, the interests of the people of South Sudan is the priority. We are very committed to continue in these peace talks, and that's why all the delegates, including the government and opposition that is still in Nairobi, and there's some work going on, still work going on. The peace talks didn't collapse, it still exists. And we hope anytime we see our part of delegate who are in Juba, they're back in Nairobi, and iron out the remaining few protocols which have been agreed already. They're just waiting for initial, and we move forward to metrics, and from there we hope the peace will be comprehensive peace will be signed. The Tumaini consensus will be signed, and that will be the big gift for the people of South Sudan. And I'm sure Brother Edmund Yakani will be one of the happiest people, and his job will not be in vain. He's been moving around, making all this effort to make sure that the people of South Sudan are coming together and peace is being achieved in our country. Therefore, I will again reiterate that our position as an opposition is to continue in these peace talks, and we respect the parties, and we want to continue with the united government of Artigono. Thank you. I'll just stop here, and microphone is back to you, Brother Abraham Adi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ustaz Mading Wade. Let me welcome in Engineering Michael Kenyi. Engineering Michael, you know, the IO, when they pull out, they said that they see Tomahini is a place where people where has a conference for the where you guys can go and meet with donors to raise fund, and they see you Tomahini is a fund manager or monitoring the implementation of access. They don't see the Tomahini has a part of peace that can bring peace in South Sudan. What is your take? What your message to tell the IO? Because South Sudan right now need people of South Sudan need peace, and as we see that the economy is turmoil right now as we speak, and the civilians are suffering, and what the people need right now is a peace. So, what message for peace would you like to tell the SPLA IO to return on which side of the table? Thank you.
Thanks, Brother Abraham. Again, I think it's a privilege to be responding to such a question. I think the different parties or groups engaged in this issue of conflict and peace in South Sudan have been providing their interpretation of what peace means to them. But is that what peace actually means to the people of South Sudan? Are the people of South Sudan in conformity with the definition of what these parties are saying, that there is relative calm and peace in South Sudan? I'm not sure. And I'm saying the best people that can address that are the people of South Sudan, given the opportunity. But from my perspective, one of the fundamental questions I could have asked those members who are talking and deliberating about the peace is, what does peace mean to them? In my perspective, peace is absence of conflict or absence of war, and living in harmony with each other, with your neighbors, with your community, with your tribe, and together as a nation, we enjoy that relative calm. Now, how do we bring about this? If there is conflict, traditionally we have our own means of resolving conflicts, where the two individuals in conflict come together and agree to resolve their issues. If they are not able to do that, they bring in a mediator to mediate between them to resolve that issue. South Sudan, since 2013, has been bleeding until today, and it continues to bleed. It is in that foresight that the president continues to reach out for peace. And with that, he reached out to the president of Kenya and said, help me find peace in my country. That request is what gave birth to this Tumaini, referred to as hope. Hope because every opportunity probably has been tried to bring peace to South Sudan, and it hasn't worked. The South Sudanese today continue to suffer in that country of ours that so much has been sacrificed for, and we still continue, or the people still continue to sacrifice. Now, what do we need to do as South Sudanese? The Tumaini, from the onset, engaged a number of players to come and participate. Brother Mading and Edmund, who have been in the forefront of this, may attest to it, that there were a number of players who were engaged. And these are people who were invited to come and give an opportunity for peace in the country. And they are not just ordinary people, they are prominent people. Unlike the previous agreements, probably the Tumaini has got a different approach, in the sense that it brought different groups together to talk about the prospects of peace in the country. Not only the conflicting individuals holding guns to each other, but it involved the non-violent groups as well. It involved the church leaders. It involved the civil society group. It involved, the eminent personality in these talks. And I think if we have to bring anything out of substance from these talks to the people of South Sudan, I believe that this Tumaini initiative offers hope. And with that, I believe and I hope that the issues that they have deliberated on, which among them they have tackled very key issues that should bring peace to our country. They've tackled the issue to do with the constitutional making. They've tackled the issue to do with security sector reform. They've tackled the issue to do with the economic reform that is affecting every citizen in the country. They've talked about the humanitarian situation and how the humanitarian program can be supported. They've talked about reconciliation, healing, and confidence building measures. They've talked about resolving community or communal conflicts. They've talked about support for implementation of the initiative, which involves the international community, not only our neighbors, but the international community that should come and support us. And they've talked about communal conflict related to armed civilians and land disputes. These are fundamental issues in our country affecting our communities. Resolving these issues are key to bringing peace to our country. Now, what are we expecting from the parties who are participating in these negotiations? The expectation is that they should be negotiating in good faith and accept that there had been issues, there had been crimes committed, but also they have to learn that peace is achieved by forgiving each other. And truth forgiveness is not only lipstick, but it's deep in heart to say, brother, I'm sorry I wronged you. Forgive me for what I have done. And equally, receive the same request for forgiveness. Together, then we can reconcile. That is a situation where you both agree to forgive each other and not a matter of the winner takes all. It should be a win-win scenario where we all agree to forgive each other and to move forward together in building our country. Be mindful of the realities that is facing our country today. Our country is in a deep hole where communities are against communities. We have virtually lost everything. How do we bring what was way back in the 1970s that does not exist today back and better than what it was? We needed peace. That can possibly be considered as dividends. Now, what does that mean to the people of South Sudan? To the people of South Sudan, I would say, let's let go of the past and start a new chapter. Let's forgive each other and embrace love and forgiveness for each other. Let's shake hands, as we always do wherever we meet as South Sudanese, We love to call ourselves brothers when we are in a different environment, when we are by ourselves and we are the only people around. We hug each other, we shake hands with each other, we call each other brothers and sisters. We need to do the same when we are in our country and we look at each other's eyes and say, you're my brother, you're my sister. We are all together in this and we need to move forward together. If we can do that, what do we expect as a benefits that we can get out of this peace? First, we will have achieved the freedom of movement, the freedom of speech without favor or fear. We will have embarked on infrastructure development that our country badly needs. We can rebuild our healthy care that meets the needs of the people of South Sudan in every sector. We can improve the security that our people badly needs. We can have the governance that everyone can embrace and support. We can start thinking of how the economy can be rebuilt. These are a few, and the list can be long. And where do we come as SUNA to this? As SUNA, we're here to encourage the South Sudanese people to support the peace process, to acknowledge that tough choices have to be made to make peace and to make things work. And we are looking at the South Sudanese people to say peace is what our country needs at this moment, and peace requires us to clean our hearts, to renew our spirits, and to forgive each other and move forward with the hope that we have lost so much that we cannot afford to lose another generation again. We should learn from now to rebuild and improve our country, our lives, our situation, so that we can, as people, be proud again and be made to feel proud as who we are. And with that, we should give ourselves the congratulations to what our basketball team has come up with and made us all proud as a nation. And if the basketball team can achieve what they have with the minimum of what they can, what do you think our country can achieve if we are all to bring all these resources together and put it for the betterment of our country? It's our view and our vision that our country deserves more, and we as a people should start to think of how we can achieve that. With that, I hand it back to you and say thank you for giving me that opportunity again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Engineering Michael Kenyi, for the wonderful peace message to our people, to our leaders, and to the citizens. So that is what we want. We want peace, and we need unity among ourselves in order to move our country to the right direction. Thank you so much. I appreciate that message. Edmund, let me bring you in. Edmund Yakani, you're one of the members of civil society organization based within on the ground. So you have done a lot. My question, Edmund, your
Yes.
Your audio is make noise. Let me see if it's you or Michael. Oh, it's Michael. Yeah, let me mute Michael. Okay, so Edmund, you seen the IO pull out from the peace talk in Nairobi. On Monday, the government delegate went and briefed Dr. Yak Mashar. They met on Monday. On Thursday, IO came out and they said that they maintain their position that they are not going back, they are not returning back to peace talk because they want their concern to be addressed first before they return back. So as you went back, seeing that day, how can you, as a civil society leader, how can you convince, or will the aspect will be convinced to return to peace negotiating table in Nairobi? And the government went on Monday and they tried to persuade Dr. Yamachar with group. But on Thursday, they came out and they said that, no, we are not going back. We want to maintain our position and we want our problem to be addressed before we decided to return back. So what is going on? Will the SPLIO be convened to go back? Thank you.
Thank you, Abraham. First, let me welcome Mading and Kenyi from SUNA. And I'm going to speak, I want to nail the nail in the head rightly. I'm not going to dodge. Honestly, I'm going to be straightforward, and I'm quite sure audience here should take this for record. One, I have realized that the politicians in the incumbent government who are completely indisciplined and they have they lack political maturity. And if I'm to give you an example, SUNA is one of the political parties that I've engaged with them right from day one during the Tumaini. They have demonstrated political discipline and maturity. What is going on? First, I'd like to just bring a bit of background. The background is that His Excellency, First Vice President, was the first caller for Rome peace process to behold after when they went to Vatican for the spiritual retreat of Pope. When their feet were kissed, then he asked Pope, Your Holiness, we need to make sure that the whole out groups, those who are not signatory to other access, are engaged and let them come and join us in the government to drive a political agenda for peace and stability. I don't expect IO to withdraw because they're the first callers. And Tumaini is a continuation of the Rome peace process. The difference is that in Rome, there were no civil society or stakeholders. In Nairobi, the stakeholders were able to drive things behind the scene to make things work with the political parties. What is going on now that I've seen in Juba? There are serious spoilers of Tumaini. And the spoilers of Tumaini are a class of individual politicians who are greedy with the power, who like to access resources on the expense of the suffering of our people. And these spoilers are across the board. Because the justification is, when we are negotiating all this time, which party among the parties of Artigono is not informed? I'm quite sure all parties that build Artigono were informed. How? Because they have their party delegates within the team of the incumbent government or the Artigono. So there's no any party under Article who can say we are ignorant. No. Completely no. Why? Because you have delegates there. What I know as a fact is this. One, IO are afraid of the coming in of the opposition in Nairobi, which will make them not to remain the only opposition. And of course, they have the right to seek for clarity. They have the right to seek for things that they feel is not well interpreted, or there's no proper interpretation. They can seek for that. It's a political right, by the way. And they deserve to have that right. But what I know is that there are people who are in IO, who are in IG, who are in SOA, who are in OPP in Juba, who does not want the opposition in Nairobi to come in. One, they are afraid of shift of power, because they're going to do an automatic shift of power when the opposition in Nairobi come into Juba. And there are also individuals in the incumbent government, they fear some individuals in Nairobi, in the peace talks. They feel if those individuals come into the government, it will shift the political influence. So there are people who are afraid of losing their political influence. Because I've come across an IG person who was saying the letter React is fighting the SPLM war. Actually, it's not supposed to be the IO, it's supposed to be the SPLM. So what does this mean? This means you have class of politicians who are so smiley when the current situation continues as it is. So they fear the personalities of opposition in Nairobi. If they come into Juba, the political arena will change. People are professional, like those of Mading and Kenyi. When they come in, with the level of knowledge they have, there are some downtown Khartoum boys here who are in the system. They don't find a space to survive. There are some Barandas, Western world politicians here in the system. They will not survive. There are some few Kampala, Nairobi boys who are in the system here. They don't survive. So they're afraid that when our opposition come professional and join the government, automatically would. And actually, by the way, Mading, some of them even have reached to level of defining themselves as the first losers. What is the example? Let me give an example. There's a dispute around the National Leadership Council. I've engaged some of them are asking me, these 4 opposition in the National Leadership Council, who are they? Can you tell us their names? I said, my friend, what is wrong with you? Why do you want to know them? He said, you name them for us. Who are these? Are these Pagana Moom? Are these Wei, Stephen Boy? Are these Paul Malong? Who are they exactly? I say it's an agreement. A figure is given to opposition in Nairobi. It is the political right of the opposition to name. Why do you want me to name them for you? I have no any legal basis to name the 4 opposition who they are. So you can see people are seeking individuals. They want to know what these individuals coming. Because they have played all the political cards and they have exposed themselves to the maximum level that everybody knows their weaknesses. So where is the problem? The problem is on 3 areas. By the way, Mading and Kenyi, this is what I learned in Juba. The argument Tumaini is going to replace our access. The argument that we look here, Tumaini is undermining our access. Tumaini is creating a supreme system above our access. These arguments are all rubbish. These are not the real actually arguments. The arguments are as follows. 1, they fear the National Leadership Council. And why they fear the National Leadership Council? Because political consensus is going to be controlled. Nobody will have unilateral decision to run away like what we have seen in the last 5 years. So that's one thing that they fear. They're arguing a lot. Number 2, they fear the National Implementation Oversight Committee. Why? Because people have earned millions of dollars under the National Transitional Committee. So now when they hear there's something coming in called National Implementation Oversight Committee and have an account and the account is going to be properly controlled, some people are asking us now, our Nya project is destroyed. So is South Sudan a Nya project for you as a politician? Why should you treat political instability in South Sudan as a Nya project? Imagine this is a political leader who described the absence of system for them to milk money in a corrupt manner as a Nya project. Now, if all of us are to go for Nya project, we will close some of the roads. So the people who are afraid of these structures, then some of them are afraid that why do you restructure some of the structures of the agreement? For example, like JDB. Why do you make JDB to incorporate the security to remain a JDB? Now, Mading and Kenyi, I argue with them because some of them confronted me. I argue with them. I say, look here are the bases. Let's argue first that Tumaini is going to be supreme than our access. I asked them, is Tumaini creating a new government? All of them gave me the answer, no. The president remains as a president Salva, the first vice president remains as a Riak, the vice president remains as they are. So that it means this rule out the argument that Tumaini is creating a new structures. This off. Secondly, the legitimacy of Tumaini is pegged on what? Is nailed on what? Apart from triggering Article 8.4 of the R access, for you to incorporate Tumaini into the R access. They are accepted. Yes, this is truth. Number 3, when we're looking at Tumaini, the methodology, we're looking at the pending task of the R access and then the declaration of Rome, what do you call the DOPs. We amalgamate the two to generate an implementable framework. Why is the problem here? They say there's no problem. Secondly, if we create a National Leadership Council, who is the chair of the National Leadership Council? Is it still his president and the president is there? But because we want to make an inclusive government, and by the way, IO has been calling for inclusive government. I don't know why they fear the National Leadership Council. Okay? So, my findings are that there are politicians who have any logical argument against Tumaini. Their argument against Tumaini is that they fear the shift of power with the coming in of the opposition into Juba. By the way, Mading, I want to give you, the spoilers are from the following parties. There are spoilers who are IO, there's the spoilers who are SPLM, there's spoilers who are SOA, there's spoilers who are OPP, there's spoilers who are FDs. Now they have constituted a party of spoilers, regardless of the political differences. And they're seriously meeting, by the way. They're seriously meeting in hotels. So this thing of being an IO, IG, SOA, OPP, they have forgotten about that all. All of them are saying, let's destroy. And that's why when you see some of the incidents in Juba, some of these incidents are intended to spoil Tumaini. And they're serious incidents, by the way. Though the spokesperson of SSPDF have said those are isolated incidents, those are not isolated incidents. How come in one day 4 armed incidents of confrontation between a known group and the security forces? These are been of the spoilers. The enactment of the NSS bill, they've been of the spoilers. The speed of reviewing the roadmap in a so fast speed that I've never seen. If the speed that they review with the roadmap, they could have used that speed for implementing our access. Today, we have not been talking about our access, by the way. People sit since morning until 9 p.m. reviewing of roadmap. Where is this energy for the last 5 years? Because they want to declare a unilateral extension. That one will not take into account Tumaini. And these people here are campaigning that the government must be extended. While the term of reference for Tumaini, which Marco used to use, government remain intact. So, this particular group have seen their colleagues who are in Nairobi under Tumaini as people who want to clear them off. There are people who are anti-Makwei, there are people who are anti-Akol Paul of the youth, there are people who are anti-Abucha, there are people who are anti-Marcelo, there are people who are anti the Deputy Minister of General Education, former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Rebecca, the people who are anti them. They feel that this group is negotiating an agreement that to clear them. Imagine your own colleagues, your own party members who think we must give this country an opportunity for peace and stability to prevail. You constitute them as people who are working against us. So now, Ayo was saying they're seeking explanation. I came to Juba. Mading, you have been following. I round them up the principles. And one of the things I threw them as a proposal was for them to invite chief mediator. I managed my way here and there with the first vice president or the president. Have agreed. They have invited the chief mediator. The chief mediator have come here. He have explained to them. And I know when the chief mediator was explaining to them, there was a clash between the spoilers of Tumaini in the cabinet and their counterparts of the cabinet who are in Nairobi in interpretation of the Tumaini. There's a clash, serious clash, by the way. So the team from Nairobi have explained clearly to the spoilers. The spoilers have no voice. And they have reached consensus. And that's why His Excellency President left. The consensus was that harmonize everything and then let's go back. And that's why if you see Martin Elia is now using the language of that we are harmonizing. There's a committee harmonizing the outcome of Tumaini and the review of the roadmap, which was contradicted by the IO that they still remain holding back their position of withdrawal. Now, the political logical question is, if your own cabinet minister is saying we are harmonizing it as Artigon, how comes again you are coming from another side saying you still were holding back? Why not the harmonization? Then the harmonization. What I would like to conclude with, to give chance for others, is that we have political elites in the incumbent government who are so happy with the political instability, with the economical instability, because they're gaining out of it so much. And the unfortunate situation, their families are not here, their children are not here, they only have the relatives who are in the village who give them a call, and actually when they don't interact with the relatives very good. So these are a group of these individuals, and that's why we need to name and shame them. We should not dodge. We should name and shame them. Yes, you can see clarity. There's nothing in Tumaini that is replacing our access. There's nothing. What was done is that we restructured. Why we restructured? Because remember, Tumaini have three main objectives. Objective number one is that come with something implementable. For you to come with something implementable, you look at the pending test of the R access, and then you look at the Rome Declaration, and then you bring new ideas to nurture. And that's why it went as new ideas. If you look at the document of Tumaini, how many references have been made to the article of R access? Even real logical politicians, how many references have been made to the article of R access? Now there's argument saying that, why do you make a reference to article of R access? Because if you have to make a reference to article of R access, we're supposed to be there as a party, not as Artigon. But why do you initiate the process as Artigon? From day one, when you name the delegation, why not convince? So it's a sense of political maturity, it's a sense of political discipline. This is one thing. Secondly, there's a fear from some few IO who sees that actually IG, SPLM, IG want to use Tumaini to flash them off. Some of them have told me that this is like what some, you remember, Abraham Mading, one of our colleagues, Kenyi in Clubhouse, was saying this has been used as a coup against IO. And while IO is the one who initiated, why there should be a coup against IO? So my analysis, this is my analysis. My analysis is that IO want to withdraw in the face of the responsibility sharing. Why? Because they want to withdraw from the responsibility sharing so that it's only SPLM IG, SOA, and OPP and FDs who will distribute responsibility sharing with the opposition in Nairobi. So when the opposition in Nairobi come through the shares of IG, share of SOA, of OPP, and FD, then they say, no, you're not opposition. You have been integrated into this. So we are the only opposition. So there's a fear that we should not be an opposition among the other oppositions. We should remain the solid opposition. That's an analogy. That's a political analogy that they're playing around with. And I've been interacting with their guys here, you know. So that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Edmund. Actually, I'm really lost the word to say, because if the leaders, political leaders, they just don't want peace to come to the country because of the power. They are afraid that if this certain group come in, they will take our position and we will lose everything. So we don't want them to come in. So they hold the country hostage. They hold the citizen of country hostage. So what is the way forward from here, Edmund? What is the way forward? The ball is in the court at the hand of President Salva Kiir. So he, the one, called this peace to be taken from Rome to Kenya. So if these opportunists within the government, Adigono government, they don't want any peace. They are happy where they are. They are happy the way the country is running, even though the economy is turmoil right now. They are happy as long as they are taking the dollars, the money, they put them in their bank. They don't care if 14 civilians who died from hunger in Bibor, like last month. They don't care if them die. They don't care about the flooding coming in. The 1,000 civilians have been displaced. They don't care. They don't care about the war, the conflict going on in Upper Nile, where the civilians are killing each other. They don't care how long they are getting their money. So they don't care. So what is the solution here? Why are they holding the country hostage? They don't want to change the political atmosphere in the country. This is message really both IO, IG, OPP, and the rest of our RCC's peace agreement. So these people, they need to do something. So Ustaz Mading, what is your all on this, what Edmund say regarding about what he is finding when he was contest in Juba? So go ahead and respond to that, and then I will move to Michael. So, and then we move to the next question that I have. Thank you. Mute yourself, Ustaz Mading.
Okay. Thank you, Brother Abraham Madid, for giving me this opportunity again. Also, thanks to brother and activist Edmund Yakani for his input and insight analysis of the situation in Juba. I would like to highlight one thing, which the question you throw to Engineer Michael Kenyi before. In regard the Tumaini is some are looking into it as a donors club. In fact, South Sudan is not an island. We are part of this big and great international community. And the peace in South Sudan is concerned to everyone. Because, you know, in Sudan nowadays, the war which is going on in Sudan could spill over South Sudan. And we have already seen the influx of refugees and our displaced people or our refugees we were in Sudan. They came back to South Sudan. And we are receiving also the refugees from neighboring Sudan, and other neighboring countries are also feeling the same hit. And South Sudan is not stable, as I mentioned before. Due to this conflict in Sudan is affecting us economically. You know that our oil export is totally dropped, which caused a lot of economic challenges within South Sudan. For all this reason, I think it's a good call for international community and neighboring countries to help understand the South Sudan. And it's not first time that international community, particularly the IGAD and African Union, Troika, and other partners to stand with the people of South Sudan. Since the signing of CPA in 2005, international community used to stand with people of South Sudan. Shamefully, is our country today is facing a lot of challenges which are man-made. Majority of these challenges problems are man-made. You may recall recently the USA has pledged $57 million as humanitarian assistance to the people of South Sudan, which we acknowledge that, and it shows the commitment of international community towards the people of South Sudan. Therefore, if somebody or some groups they have impression of a notion in their mind that this peace talks, Tumaini peace talks, is a club for donors, that's not true. And if it is club for donors also, all of us who are participating in these peace talks is not only opposition, including the government of Artigun. And rescuing the country is not only our responsibility. We need our partners, our brothers, the international community to stand with us. And this peace to be achieved, we must have a role as people of South Sudan. That's what I want to clarify. Come to the issue of what is going on in Juba. it's no surprise to anyone when there is a peace. You know, it's like when there is the woman is about to give birth. It's the woman goes through a difficult path before giving birth. The situation become very tense, and the pain and all these things. This I could say this is a pain of Tumaini coming to an end to achieve the peace for the people of South Sudan. As I mentioned before, there's nothing for our brothers back in Juba to worry. There's no power struggle, and we are not after the power because majority of people, they have their own jobs and they are doing their own businesses. But the most important thing is whose power belongs to? The answer is simple: the power belongs to the people. And the people of South Sudan, they are the custodian of that power. They may give that power to whomever they want it, and they may take it from anyone. Therefore, people should not be worried much about power. We should concentrate much about the peace and stability. We cannot achieve any progress, even those people who have power. You cannot continue to hold on this power while the country is going backward. Because when country collapses economically, even the power you have will have no meaning because it will not benefit you. But as I mentioned before, I will reiterate the same thing that our position as an opposition is to make sure that the government is united. We call also for other brothers who are not part of peace talks like Gerald Thomas Shillo, Emmanuel Gawin. We have people like Simon Gavin, and others to join this peace. And there's a great opportunity, which Tumaini also is about to open that window, is the constitutional making process, which we hope that will involve all South Sudanese, regardless of where they reside, those in the country and those who are in diaspora. This will be a great opportunity where we will address the root cause of the conflict in South Sudan. With some of these protocols have been mentioned by Engineer Kenyi, I think there are very useful protocols here. If they are really implemented, they may help our country to go forward. Therefore, if there is any differences in Juba, we don't want country to go back to 2013 or 2016. The bloodshed must stop. We need people to unite. We don't want an agreement that can lead to exit of any political party or any political group. We have to work together as South Sudanese for the welfare of our people, for the welfare of our country, for the welfare of the region and the stability in the region. I think this is our position and it's very clear. And we hope anytime our brothers in Juba, they will resolve their conflict and they come back on the table, and we need to continue to talk. Paradoxically, we know most of the peace talks all over the world, it is the government always dividing opposition. It's not way around that opposition is dividing the government. This is my first experience to see such thing happening in Nairobi. Although the government came as united, as Brother Edmund has mentioned, the government came as Artigono, and Edmund has highlighted a lot of processes which were going on and the fear. One of the things that came up, which is a leadership council, it is something natural for opposition to ask for a leadership council, because if there is any agreement need to be implemented, and you cannot implement it, you cannot implement the agreement alone without other partners. And opposition will be a partner in that agreement. They need to be sitting with you together in some other decisions which are related to that agreement, which has been achieved, if it is achieved. Therefore, there is no any argument or a fear that the opposition is going to take over, or there will be a consensus in that decision making. Even if there's consensus in decision making, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as if it is for the benefit and the interests of people of South Sudan, who are the stakeholders of the peace. The peace one is signed, it's not belong to the parties. We have to bear in mind any peace is signed, it belongs to the people. And when the parliament endorses it, it's owned by the people of the country, it's not owned by the parties. Therefore, as we are the parties, we should not be worried much about the peace that's being signed. We need to work towards peace. We need to reach out to the people of South Sudan as the custodian of any peace, the custodian of the country. I will stop here again, Abraham Medid, and I'll pass my microphone back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ustaz Mading. Let me welcome back. Let me give engineering Kenyi a chance to wait in here. This is my last question, so I can give the audience who are watching on Facebook, we can put them up their question on the screen, and also I will open the hand raise in Clubhouse. Some of you will have questions can come up. Before I do that, Isaac, get ready to bring those people up. So this question is going to both three of you, and I will start with Engineer Kenyi. Engineer Kenyi, on July 15, so Tumaini, you guys signed a protocol. That was the last agreement, and we don't know what is you guys are agree behind the scene. So before the IO pull out from the peace talk. So now the IO pulling out now is put everything on hold. So what is, and in both of you, three of you were waiting on this question, then what will be the final agreement of Tumaini? And when you guys go back to finalize the agreement. So Kenyi, go ahead. Thank you.
Thanks, Brother Abraham, again for welcoming me back to this. While I do appreciate the question, I would throw that or request that that question be answered by Brother Mading and Edmund Yakani, because both of those are the people who are involved in the negotiations or in the negotiating room. And I always wait for the feedback after they come out. So I think they are better placed to respond to that. What I want, if you do not mind, is me just giving a brief comment on what Brother Edmund Yakani has just outlined.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
you could go ahead. Yeah, thank you.
All right. First and foremost, I want to appreciate Edmund for giving us that honest and clear update on what is going on in Cuba. And correct me otherwise, Brother Edmund, what I can read from that brief outline of the situation in Cuba implies that we are actually in a state of leadership crisis. And right now, it requires leaders who have got cool heads, who have got the vision, who have got the energy, and who have got the strategy that is needed to take this country forward. If nothing happens, then we will have surrendered this country to the hawks. Because this country, as you outlined it, is going to be torn in between those forces, and as they continue to evolve, the people continue to suffer and drain. And it is my hope that this has come at a time, and hopefully an opportune time, that people who have got cool heads can come together and forge the way forward with the energy that has been generated through this Tumaini Initiative. And we would encourage all South Sudanese who have heard all this and who understand the need for urgent action to take place to come together and rescue our country from going to the abyss. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Kenyi. Edmund?
One, Mading, let me be straightforward. They will come back to the table. They have no option. They have to come back to the table. They have no option because the contradictory position is that they have members who are harmonizing the outcome of the Tumaini, and some people will go somewhere and say, we're not returning. They are coming back. That's one thing that I like to make it very clear, that they're going to come back. Or otherwise, they'll be facing a lot of regional and global challenges. Let me give an example. Part of my work when we almost fall into this, by the way, Mading, I'll share with you and my colleague Isaac and the rest. The group in Juba are not calling it Tumaini. They're calling it tsunami. They say this is a political tsunami. You know, they have nicknamed it from Tumaini to tsunami. And you know what is tsunami? Tsunami is a waves that you cannot control. They say that Nairobi is a real tsunami coming to Juba. I say, but how do you describe it as a tsunami? It's a hope. So now when it turns hope to be a tsunami, what type of political attitudes you have? So now they nickname it. So if you go somewhere, I remember I went to one of the ministries. I'm going to meet the minister because I know the minister is among those who are influential. As I'm jumping to the steps, I read to the office manager. I didn't know. Somebody said, oh, one of the tsunamis are here. So what is a tsunami? They said, but what is that? I said, it's Tumaini. They said, no, it's not Tumaini. It is tsunami. So when I was moving in the ministries, I started hearing this language of tsunami. I said, okay. If you feel it's a tsunami, then that means actually you have a fear of transition the country from the situation we're in now to peace and stability. So this is my answer. My answer is that they will come back to the table because part of the role we did when we get stuck on this responsibility sharing, we start moving in the region. For me, I'm still optimistic that they'll come back. Why I say I'm the optimistic? Because they have no option. And you might have seen Brother Isaac. I was recently in Addis. I just came to Juba yesterday. When I was in Addis, I met with the panel of WISE for the AU. I met with the Mbeki Foundation, which have a team of former presidents of Africa, and then the chairperson of AU, Musa Faki. Because under the Tumaini, there's a regional mechanism that bring in representatives from AU, from IGAD, from EAC. So I bring our lobby. And we didn't stop here. Even when as far as reaching out to some senators in US, you might have seen the letter of Peter Walsh, where he's a senator in the US and is calling for Troika to support the Tumaini. Okay, we're mobilizing for the return of the region, the international body, to support our process, but we have spoilers who like to enjoy the current status quo. So whether they like or don't like it, they will come back on the table. They have no option. Because what I'm saying is that they're in a contradictory position. And I think one thing that is challenging also some parties in Artigono, it's really flow of accurate information and getting the right people to provide interpretation. Because what made me to get shocked is that they are part and parcel of the chief mediator briefing in Juba. Why don't they raise their questions in front of the chief mediator? Because the chief mediator was on the ground. They have the full rights to get the answers immediately of what they want. So until the chief mediator left, and then again you say behind that, no, we're still holding back. So are you really serious? You mean when the chief mediator was on the ground, you didn't seek chance of clarity? You know, the champion of this process, which everybody like it, everybody clap for them hands. oh, thanks, very good at opposition, is actually championing inclusivity more than the incumbent government by then, when IU was calling for it. But now they have losing with a fear. And you can follow the political statements. After we're holding back for not going to Tumaini because we seek clarity, and that is after the chief leader come here. Now there's this language that the party of the president is doing coercion. It divides the opposition by offering positions. Already signals of unfolding, early warning that the current incumbency may unfold into violence is very high. And the only rescue is Tumaini. Because these guys have reached to the level that they see their brothers and sisters who are in Nairobi as the enemies. Their own party members, their own government members. They see them as enemies. Now, what type of political leaders do we have? And what is it that you cannot seek it quietly than beating the drums too loudly? So for me, those are some of the issues that we need to really raise it up and challenge. And normally, when somebody interferes with your house, it is when your house is not in an order. House that is not in order, neighbors can come and play with it. If your house is in order, neighbor will never come to play with it. So internal crisis, open the window for coercion, open the window for defection. And my fear is that even people at a senior position of the uniform are now following the politician's misinterpretation of Tumaini. You might have seen what Uncle Col Manyang was saying. I'm wondering now, with that age, you don't believe on political transition in the country. And when I met him, I took my phone, I said, Uncle, watch, is this you? Gamgale Edmund, you are very stubborn. What is wrong with you? I don't know, I'm not stubborn. I wish somebody like you would have been a proper advisor. So for me, what we need to say is that let's take responsibility. Political processes normally have political challenges. There's not any political processes in this world that have no political challenges. But once you have the maturity and the discipline, you can manage the challenges. You might have seen even in the US, Trump have to get a bullet, he's battling here and there. So these are everywhere, there are political challenges. But be matured enough and be disciplined enough to resolve these political challenges without putting the massive citizens' life into risk and jeopardy. That's how politicians play. So I will come back to the table. They're in the harmonization. And one thing that I feel parties in Artigon have one weakness. There's a lack of leadership control, whether politically or militarily. Any member can issue any statement that represents the party. And this is what Kenyi have said is a leadership crisis, actually. True, Kenyi is a leadership crisis. Because everybody can walk out and issue any statement that he wants. And sometimes this offers a big challenge when a party does not have a system of information flow, specifically political parties. It's dangerous. So for me, what's happening in Juba, there's a huge political fear for the outcome of Nairobi. It's a real huge political fear. And by the way, also, the opposition who are in Nairobi, they're not coming alone. This opposition is coming with the young, informed, professional ones that once they come and sit in the government, they will shake this old mind of liberation. That's another fear they have it. These are people who are exposed, who knows what is right, who can engage. And I've seen them on the table when we're in Nairobi. People speak eloquently, beyond ethnic line, beyond regional line. So for me, the fear, political, about people afraid of the shift of power because of Tumaini, which they nickname it as a tsunami, whether they like it, if they don't accept it, yes, it will end up as a tsunami for them. If they want to remain Tumaini, they must accept it. If they reject it, it will end up as a tsunami, because it's the opposite. If you refuse Tumaini, it will come to you as a tsunami. And you have seen already international voices are coming in, okay, from the Senate, and will keep on mobilizing the international community, the regional community. And that's why of the latest, I'm out of Nairobi, running in between the region because we want to mobilize support and want to end this game. This game is too much. It's really affecting our citizens. If you go to Unity State, over 80% of the state is in water. Soldiers are dying of malaria, diarrhea. The land is becoming too squeezed. We're supposed to right now to focus on the life of our own citizens in Unity State. And remember, it's an oil exploration state. That water is now being polluted. The kettles, the life of human beings, these are the things you're supposed to look at, not nicknaming Tumaini as a tsunami. So my message is that they will come back. If they don't come back, Tumaini will end up as a tsunami as they like it. They want Tumaini to remain Tumaini, go back to the table. If you take to go back to the table, Tumaini will end up as a tsunami. Because there's nobody else say politically, I'm in charge of South Sudan. That trend of claiming by then that, you know, we are the one in charge and we are in the control. These days, everybody can come up. The level of education we have is very high, so we don't give in anyhow. So for me, that's my answer, that in simple terms, they will come back to the table because they are harmonizing it. And I think we will keep updating you, especially on Monday. I will run up of the offices to check what is the latest. And my feeling is that there's a progress of return back. Those statements are coming here and there because these are political shift of diversion of attention. Sometimes people don't divert their attention, they issue a statement. So politically, if you don't know the game of diversion of attention, you may tend that things are real. But these sometimes are games of diversion of attention. But let's see the reality. And if president comes from South Africa today or tomorrow on Monday, I'm quite sure because they're still waiting for the president. So the president to make decision. And that's why Martin Elia was saying they're harmonizing it. And that message of Martin Elia, which is published in iRadio, that they're harmonizing it is giving it a positive signal that already there's a compromise is coming up. And these compromises will lead to the return back to the mediation table. Thank you. And of course, the process going on in Nairobi. It have never stopped. So some of us just, because it's a small job left to be finished up, the implementation matrix. That's why we are now running to make sure we mobilize the region for support. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Edmund Yakani, for answering that question. There is a part question referred before to Ustaz Mading by engineer Michael Kenyi. Before you answer that question, we have 3 questions from the comment section, and also we have 4 people who has question in Clubhouse. So let us start with the comment section first. This first question is directed to Ustaz Mading by Wuldeng RH. He's saying, my question to Ustaz Mading, if every party is not willing to accept challenges on this peace process, how will you manage to achieve that Nairobi peace talk? That is his question. The next one is from Wuldeng RH as well. He said that, will that Nairobi peace talk be successful without SPLMIO if they are not willing to go back? The third question coming from Oth Thong. The question is this: why SOMA groups led by Pagana Mom, Paul Malongawan, Major General Boy Lornyang, and the rest aren't interested? It's interesting to join 2018 agreement instead for themselves to create another peace named Tumaini Initiative. These are the 3 questions from the comment section that you guys can answer them in the long run. After that, we will go to the Clubhouse to take the questions from the other side. So, Ustaz Mading, the floor is yours. Open your mic. Thank you.
Okay, thanks again to all viewers and listeners. I would like to thank you, Brother Isaac Tiang, Edmund Yakani, for your input again, and Michael Kenyi, Engineer Michael Kenyi. And regarding the process and the process of peace in Nairobi, as I mentioned before, 8 protocols have been signed, and the other 3 protocols are ready to be initial. The only problem is this the division which happened within the government delegation. The metrics, as Edmund has mentioned, people are working on metrics, and the peace is in progress. There's nothing wrong with it. The only challenge is the withdrawal of IO, in which that is still also. I have mentioned that we want the united government of Artigono to come and continue in these peace talks. We don't want division among our people. And this game is not a game of who is winning and who is losing. The losers are the people of South Sudan, and if there's a win, they are the people of South Sudan. We have to take it like that. It's not a matter of opposition and government. It's a matter of the interest of people of South Sudan. When we talk about rescuing the country, it's a serious matter. People have to take it, and has been mentioned by speakers before me. We have starvation within the country, the famine. We have a lot of challenging disease. We have flooding start early this year. We have real challenges in the kind of security situation in the country, the regional challenges, as well the internal challenges. On the top of that, also the world itself is having its own challenges. We could see the impact of war in Ukraine and Palestine, and the economic consequences all over the world, which affect everyone, including South Sudan indirectly, because our country still also seek assistance from international donors, and those each and every country now is concentrating on its own internal issues rather than going and look or going to help others. Those are the things. The challenges, we don't shy away from challenges because this is part of political game. There must be challenges, and I've mentioned before the difference in opinions is something acceptable in politics. But at the end, we need to come back and sit down round table and iron out our differences. We cannot just say if there's any differences, we don't want to sit down. I've mentioned the things related to IO, and if the IO don't want to come back to peace talks. I don't hope that will be the best solution for IO and for the Artigono and for us as an opposition. As I've mentioned before, IO is one of the components of the Artigono government and RCC. And we hope that they will be back on the table, because IO and we in opposition and the other parties in the government, Artigono, all of us were working for the interests of people of South Sudan. Therefore, there's no room here for someone just to withdraw for the sake of abandoning the peace. And IO itself have taken a very bold decision in 2018 and signed an agreement with the government in which that IO become part of that government today. We wish that IO continue in this government as an opposition, an important partner in this government. And if there is any agreement signed or consensus reached in Tumaini, we need IO also to be part of that process, and not only the IO, the entire opposition, even those who are not part of it. Coming back to the issue of 2018, what I want just to clarify before, Chairman Gerald Stephen Boy is not part of SOMA. Gerald Stephen Boy is the leader of SUNA. SOMA is comprised in these peace talks from two political parties or groups. The real SPLM, led by General Pagana Mom, Comrade General Pagana Mom, and the SUB, led by General Paul Malungawan. And the other group, these are two groups, which is SUNA, led by General Stephen Boy, in which I'm part of that organization, and the NAS RCC, led by General Lako Thomas. Those four groups are the one that representing opposition. plus PCCA led by Honorable Kwelagwe. And also we have civil society and also the eminent personalities and the faith-based groups, which are religious groups. They are playing a very important role, vital role in these peace talks, and other partners also which are supporting the people of South Sudan. Therefore, what I want to reiterate and also to assure the people of South Sudan, these peace talks, we hope to continue to rescue our country. Otherwise, all of us inside the country or outside the country, we are committing suicide. And the history will not forgive us. And the people of South Sudan, they will not forgive us. This is what I look into it, that a genuine peace is a fundamental right and a human right for the people of South Sudan. We cannot keep these people to suffer and continue suffering because of our differences or our own ambition as political groups or politicians. The country will remain, the people live and the country remain. And the people of the country, they are the one that can shape the future of this. I want also all the parties to stand up, particularly youth. Youth, they are the future of this country. We need them to stand up and support peace talks in Nairobi. That's the only way forward for them to progress and create a hope for them and a brighter future for them. I will stop here, Brother Isaac, and the microphone is back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ustaz Mading. Engineer Michael Kenyi, do you have answers to the questions listed before, or we move to Clubhouse? We have 4 people there to ask questions.
I just wanted to comment on one thing. Brother Mading has elaborated enough on the first 2 questions. On the last question, I think it refers to why the Tumaini and why don't the actors in Tumaini don't join the 2018 or 2018 the peace talks or agreement rather. Okay. Is that correct? The question in this, why the group that, yep.
Yeah, that's correct.
Why
yes.
why they don't join the
2018 peace agreement.
2018 peace agreement?
Yes.
I have to acknowledge the fact that the 2018 agreement, as good agreement as it was, if implemented and implemented in the spirit that it was signed, there could have been no need for this Tumaini. But we have to acknowledge that the 2018 agreement, as good as it was, had its own challenges that it faced, which resulted in a good chunk of the agreement or parts of those agreements not being implemented until today, 5 or 6 years later, when it was meant to have been implemented in 24 months or 3 years. It has extended for now almost 6 years, and it may even go further and still may not be implemented. And the question is, what do we have to do to get this agreement implemented? The difference with the Tumaini is that there is going to be implementation metrics in place which will be guided and bound by terms of reference and time frame, where there are going to be checks and balances in place to ensure that if it does not get implemented within that time frame, there are questions to be asked, and there are people who will ensure that these terms of agreement are implemented as signed and agreed upon. And if it is not implemented, there are questions to be asked, and there are people who will have to be held accountable for that. That is the difference between the 2018 and the Tumaini, if signed. And I think that's a huge difference that distinguishes the 2018 agreement to the Tumaini agreement. Thank you, and back to you, Brother Isaac.
Thank you so much, Vice Mandis. Moving forward, Mr. Edmund Yakani, do you have answers or answer to the questions raised in the comment section before, or we move straight to the clubhouse? We have people waiting down there patiently to ask you guys some questions. Edmund, are you there? All right.
It's muted at the moment, I think. Yep, yes, come on.
Yeah.
Yes, Isaac.
Yeah. Have you jot down any question of the comment section that you need to make some comments there before I bring up people from Clubhouse?
Yeah. I think one.
Yes, go ahead.
IO is part of Artigon. If IO withdraw or any part of Artigon withdraw, Artigon is under jeopardy. As a champion, remember, as I mentioned before, IO were the champion of inclusivity. Now they're contradicting their position of inclusivity, which for me, it's really a political mess. They really mess up. So they need to come in. Even if you don't adjust things, you cannot adjust things with withdrawal. You can adjust things by being on the table. So I think in terms of success, IO will come back and they have to push whatever they want to declare, because as I said, it's their right to seek clarity. Nobody will deny them their right to seek clarity. But they can't seek clarity with withdrawal. They can seek clarity by bargaining. A healthy politics is always determined by players that like to bargain. So they have to come back on bargaining table. So they need to withdraw. That's one thing I'm saying. These people who say that Tumaini was created as another peace, these are the people who are terming Tumaini as a tsunami. Because Tumaini is not a new peace. It's a continuation of the Rome peace process, and it was initiated in Rome. The only thing when it came to Nairobi, we're looking for, how do we name it? That's why we name it after the word of hope. Who there is a politician that does not want to provide the nation a hope? If a politician don't provide the nation a hope, what does that mean? And I think let them also remember that all these particular games that are going on is building up to inform the electoral process. And citizens, when they come to vote, they will do a review of quite a number of years back about their behaviors and their attitudes. So for me, it's really let them take that responsibility, because I respect them. They're the first people who called for inclusivity, which was so impressed to see an opposition that failed that the other oppositions would come and join. So I think that's a comment that I like to make. But I think also one thing that I'd like to bring is that His Excellency, First Vice President, needs to stand up as a leader. He needs to stand up as a leader. He needs to really rein on pressure that he may mount among his groups. And remember, that's something that I'm not bringing in here, by the way. The first document we signed under Tumaini is what we call declaration of commitment. So the withdrawal of the IO automatically is a violation of the declaration of commitment. But tomorrow they come accuse other people that you have violated the process. Because the declaration of commitment is stipulated very clear, nobody can withdraw. Now they withdraw, they have violated it actually. Remember, there's a time when General Stephen Boy lives was under threat. He called for withdrawal. Why General Boy didn't go out? Because General Boy have to commit himself to the declaration of commitment. He said, I'm expressing my concern, but I'm not going to go out. That is the sense of a leader. He said, I feel my life is at risk. That's why I express myself and I seek. If you don't respond, I'm going to withdraw. But because of declaration of commitment, say I respect what I've signed as a declaration of commitment, I'm not withdrawing, but find a solution to my issues. But today I is withdrawing. So they're signing the violation from day one, before Tumaini could finish. I don't know whether they really commit themselves into that. They should remember documents that have been signing. So violating the declaration of commitment, tomorrow they come and say, oh, IG is violating, other opposition are violating, but they start the violation from day one. And this is what I'm telling some of their colleagues that look at their violation. Number two, if you look at Tumaini is trying to control no party should have absolute unilateral decision. And I have been complaining with SPLM-IG that SPLM-IG for parliament into mechanical majority, for executive into mechanical majority, for security into mechanical majority. We are trying to repair what you have been complaining about, and you're withdrawing from the repairment. Imagine. We are offering a solution to your fear of mechanical majority by creating the leadership council so they don't have mechanical majority. Then you start fearing that, what is this? I'm withdrawing. Now, what type of political culture are you having? So for me, they have the truth, they have the rights to seek clarity, but they should seek clarity through bargaining. And they should really look broadly. They should think outside the box, the implications. What does that mean? So they should not lose being the darling of people who want to see democracy and good governance by looking at IO as a model opposition that is trying to bring other opposition on board. They should not lose that particular reputation. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Now we go straight to Clubhouse. I see it's late. We are now 2 hours. The first person is Jacob Laku. You will open your mic to raise your question. And for Abraham Madid, you can just mute your mic there. Such that I can. All right, Jacob.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brother Rock and Madid, for bringing me up. I just have just a few questions to these people whom you brought in here to be interviewed. First, for them is Michael Kenyi and Mading Wade and Edmund Yakani. Edmund Yakani is well known for everybody here in the clubhouse as a civil society activist. And the two personalities, I personally don't know them because I just came in the middle of the presentation. So I don't know, in the beginning of the presentation, maybe their personalities well known, introducing to the people in the clubhouse here, but me personally, I missed that point out. But I want to know first the personalities of them, either they are within the organization led by Edmund Yakani, they are members of the civil society, or they are running different organizations so that I can put my question across them correctly. But to Edmund Yakani, my question to you is this. Are you really a civil activist, civil society? You are running the organization of civil society, or you are part and parcel of the government Atigono? Because if you, Edmund Yakani, is a civil society without border. Civil society is without border. You is a corrector of what was going wrong in the government and what was going wrong in the opposition. You are just in between correcting the mistakes among these organizations. And then you are the voice or the voiceless of the people of the South Sudan as a civil society. You are within the people of the South Sudan. So what I put this question across to you, because in most cases, we can see you only just in the Eagle Media Room, which most probably is sponsored by the government. if you are independent person as a civil society without border, you should come in any room of Edward, room of our diversity, room of both of the people of South Sudan, and then any other independent room, so that you can air out what concerns the people of South Sudan, because you are in between the people and then opposition and then government. You are in between them. So we want to hear you most, because you are the corrector. What was going wrong with the government and what was going wrong with the opposition, and how do you embrace all these different differences? But in most cases, we see you only in this room. And this room is a late that it was responsible by the government and is the voice of the government. So exactly, we want to know your position. Are you really independent civil society, or you are part and parcel of the government or RTO? Thank you so much. But the rest of the people, I don't know. To put my question across. Thank you.
Yes, Jacob, before Yakani responded to you, the guests that we have here, they are not new to us, maybe to you, but they are senior members of SUNA, participant in Tumaini Peace Initiative in Nairobi.
SUNA? Yeah. What does SUNA mean?
Okay.
It's SUNA. It's SUNA.
I mean SUNA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, Edmund, just come in.
Thank you very much for your question. I respect your question. I don't know whether you start from the beginning of this session, when I was leveling what I feel the people in the government want the status quo by spoiling Tumaini. I don't know whether you get it that. I don't know. And I would really advise that, as you said, in most cases, you see I'm supporting the government. I need you to prove in which sense that I'm supporting the government, which we are getting deregistration from time to time, we're getting threats from time to time. I don't know what you mean. And I don't know whether you see how we operate. We are first independent. I don't think that we're aligning with anything called government or opposition. When opposition goes wrong, we tell them this is wrong. When government goes wrong, we tell them they are going wrong. And that is the background that we operate in. And I really advise that try to research about us. And quite a number of people knows who we are. And quite a number of people knows what challenges we're facing from the incumbent government. And use this word sponsorship. What I know is that there are some few people from the region where I come from. They believe I could have actually jumped out of Juba, because anybody in Juba is a government. That's belief. Many people believe that when you're in Juba, you're pro-government. And this for me is a naive way of thinking, that when you feel people are in Juba, but I'll tell you, research about us, see what we're doing, see the threats we're getting. If you want, I can pick up with you one-to-one and prove to you what I was sponsored. So I wish you could have taken time. Honestly, I don't answer alone. I just say, I wish take time, research about us, and ask other people about who we are. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Edmund. Let's just go move forward. We move the line because we're running out of time. Comrade Manon, are you there? Do you have a question?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, thank you. I will have a little bit comments and I have a question to conclude it. First of all, thank you for the Eagle Media, and my greeting also to our guests, Engineer Michael, Kenyi, and Ustaz Mading, and Ustaz Edmonds, and those South Sudanese who turned to this interview this morning. Yeah, based on the explanation of Ustaz Edmonds, the fear from the three issues that he mentioned, which is those are the fundamental of Tumaini Initiative, which is the Leadership Council and Security Sector Oversight Reform Commissions, and also the issue of the funding, which is minor, but the I also raised up the issue of the funding, opening a special account. I think those are real. If we look into those three fundamental issues in terms of IO, if the relationship or the power of the national leadership and the power of presidency are not defined clear to the IO, it's going to be difficult for them to understand, because we know the IO is enjoying the veto within the presidency. That's why they call it the two principle. Even they ignore the others parties which are part of the presidency, which is the other vice presidents, whether the representative of SAWA or representative of other groups within the leadership of the presidency. So here they are enjoying the veto, and that's why there's a deadlock. And anything that actually Machar is not agree with the President Kiir, then it become a deadlock, and then people jump into the neck of the SPLM. The SPLM is the problems. It's not able to implement the agreement. And it's the same fear that they are fearing from the new commission, which is the security sectors oversight reform commissions, because it's taken over the all security committees or commission that are formed based on the RCS. And their relationship have also to be explained to them, so at least they ensure that they still controlling. And I would see him representing himself to become the only opposition, they're representing the whole opposition. But here, my question here, all along, what we observed so far, it was the opposition always in favor of the IO. Even they don't treat the IO as a part of the Article. They don't blame him for anything at all. Rather, they blame the SPLM all along. That's why we heard from opposition, even from the media, from the social media, from the clubhouse. So my question here to Engineer Michaels and Mading, where this relationship disappear? How did this relationship disappear immediately after the Tumaini Initiative? Because what we observed so far, all along, even negatively to implementation of the agreement in terms of the media and internationally, it is always the SPLM within the government. SPLM party is being blamed 100%, and IO enjoy not being actually blamed for anything at all. And I heard that even the initiative of the Rome talk was actually came from the IO leadership, the Rome talk, and now they have become the obstacle for the progress to move on. Is there any plan for opposition to talk directly to the IO? Because even the SPLM as an Article lead delegation to Nairobi, I don't see that they will agree, because if they were actually working as one body, would have seen almost for a couple of years now, the IO is within the government. They don't take any responsibility whatsoever happening in the government, and opposition is always in their side. It become a paralyzed, government within the government, So opposition have any other dialogue talk with the IO, because now the obstacle here is IO. It seems the government or the SPLM parties is comfortable with what is happening in Tumaini Initiative, even though we have some individuals, as mentioned, fearing from their position, and this is normal for any peace. Always newcomers, always there are people going to feel uncomfortable. But as long as the leadership make a decision and make their decision, there's nothing actually they can prevent happen in the end of the day. That's the way we observe in CPA. NCPA was not comfortable in CPA, but the decision came from the leadership that the peace have to be given a chance. That's why we had the CPA was signed in January, but it was not collectively welcomed by all NCP elements. So we're going to observe this similar situation as it is. The different here now, we have a government that actually have a different function, which actually they are not unified. They don't have unified voice. Everyone is just fighting for their own interests. Rather, as one body of the government of transitional unity of government, NCP was one government, and they are unified and they have one voice for what was happening. But now with the current one, each party actually look for their own interests, and they don't even trust the other party to work together collectively as one body. So let us agree that there are really challenges. There are really challenges, and it is better if those challenges can be addressed in the Tumaini Initiative before the final signature on. Otherwise, we're going to have a different interpretation, which is also going to affect the implementation of ARCIS itself. I mean, the Tumaini Initiative itself. So it is better to make a clarity and bring those people on the board. So when the implementation comes to Juba, or the agreement is signed, it have to be able to be implemented, rather facing other challenges like what we observe at the moment with the ARCIS that actually was imposed, and that's why implementation is difficult on it. So I guess we'll stop here. Those two questions can be answered by Ustaz Michael, Engineer Michael and Mading, regarding the relationship between the opposition and the IO. I will need clarity from them, and thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Ustaz Manon. Ustaz Mading, the question is going to you guys straight.
Okay, thank you to Ustaz Manon from Clubhouse, and thank you again to our viewers and listeners. Yes, I would like to make it very clear. We in opposition, we don't line up with IO or any other group within the government. We treat government decision, our government decisions, and the government of Artigono. The only difference is the clarification. When incident happens, the parties to agreement, each party clarifies its own position, in which that is a choice for you as an opposition or the citizen of South Sudan to take a decision and to look who is right and who is wrong. For instance, I will bring up the recent passing of security proposal law in the parliament. The SPLM-IO and other parties in the parliament who are opposition, they voted against it. The SPLM-IG voted for it. From our point of view as an opposition, that proposed law, we look into it, Article 54 and 55, we look into it is not for the favor of freedom of press, freedom of speech in the country, and it's not on the same line with what we are working to achieve in Nairobi. Therefore, we cannot blame IO in that because they vote against it. That's very clear things. Therefore, here there's no question that the opposition support IO always against the IG. It is the behavior of the parties within the government of Artigono that made the opposition parties to take a decision who is wrong and who is right within the government, and that's the fact. But even if the IO is committed any mistakes or anything which is improper, we also in opposition, we criticize them, and not only IO, any other group. And for instance, the failure of implementation of RRCs, we blame the entire government of Artigono as their failure. It's not a failure of SPLM, IG, or IO, or the other parties within the government. It's the failure of the entire system or entire government. And that's the way we treat it. But in some cases where there is a failure and known who is behind that failure, we single out who is behind that. And that's something natural, and we say it always. There is nothing really that we support IO against the IG. And when President came, His Excellency President Salva Kiir Mayardit, and asked opposition to engage in peace talks in Nairobi, we appreciate that. And also the parties within the article, all of them, they were behind it, except only when this incident happened. And this incident which happened now, it is not a question of criticizing IO. It is a question IO, and it's an internal dispute within the article, which they need to address. And we are hopefully that we will see them back, as Edmund has mentioned, we will see them back in Nairobi. We are not here to judge who is wrong and who is right. And also, seeking clarification is the right of each party within article. Even IG can also ask or ask for any clarification. And we have seen, as Edmund had mentioned, some remark from some senior SPLM IG advisors and some senior members of Liberation Council. They have made remarks about Tumaini, but that we did not take it serious because it is internal issues in those parties. And we are opposition. We are accountable for our own mistakes. But the mistake of other parties is their own mistakes, and this is their own challenges. They need to address it. The common denomination between us and the government is for us to achieve peace for the people of South Sudan. And this is a responsibility of all of us. If we renege from that peace achievement, it is right for the people of South Sudan to criticize us. The same thing from the government side. If they renege from any peace talks or any agreement, or they don't want to implement an agreement, it is right for the people of South Sudan to criticize that government. It's not a question of who is right and who is wrong, and which political party want to score any political win. It is a matter of people first, and the interest of people of South Sudan first. This is the way that I would like to answer this question, and I will stop here and give a chance to Engineer Kenyi, if he can also add anything or input anything else. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Ustaz. Engineer Michael Kenyi, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Brother Isaac, and thanks, Mading, for the response. In regard to your question, Ustaz Malong, is that correct?
Manon, Ustaz
No,
Manon.
Manon.
Yes.
Manon, sorry. Thanks, Manon. Appreciate your question and the comments that you added to your question. I'm just adding to what Mading has just provided in there. I think part of your question was if the actors, in terms of the opposition, should talk to the SPLA-IO directly to address their concern. My opinion, and this is an opinion here, is that the government or the Artigono came to the negotiations as government, which included the IO and all the other parties in government. And they also came to negotiate with the opposition. And the opposition also composed of other parties. The real SPLA, SUNA, the NAS group, the civil society group, and the others who are engaged in the Tumaini. These parties are classified into two groups, the government and the opposition. I don't think it would be appropriate for the opposition to start individual discussions on the sideline with the IO being separate from IG. That, I think, would not be the right approach. The IO and the IG came as one artigonal, and the opposition should only negotiate with one body, which is the artigonal. If there are issues between themselves, then the IO and the IG and the other associated parties involved in their camp resolve their issues there and come as one to the opposition and negotiate with the opposition. In the same way, I am sure that the opposition will not also entertain that the government comes and start to negotiate with the individual groups in the opposition in order to arrive at some sort of back deal arrangement. I don't think that will give any credibility to the agreement. As such, the opposition has stood firm as one, presenting, presenting their proposal to the government as artigonal, and realizing that the artigonal has got its own issues to deal with is when the opposition has asked the government to go and resolve their issues. And once they have resolved their issues, they can then come back to the negotiating table to finalize the remaining protocols that is waiting to be initialed. And that, in my view, is the right approach and the strategy to manage this type of negotiations to resolve the issues that is currently outstanding. I hope I have provided a reasonable answer to your question. If not, then you're more than welcome to provide any additional clarification if you require, and we go forward from there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pachmandis. We move forward to Molana. A good wine. Go ahead. Yeah.
I also give a karamnul and Muslim alugum from Mading to Kenyi and also to Edmund. Here you want Isaac and Madin next time. You don't allow Zoljaman Barra to attack the Bitafi Bedek, the Kalam Makwis. So I took the Kalana and I didn't like it. I couldn't get out of Zula Baragubel. So before I go to the question, Fikalam Gubel Edmund Kalam, he talked about tsunami, and I brought Kalam the tsunami recently. The question will go to Edmund, and then I will give each one of these people a question. Edmund, you said that what is coming, it is a tsunami. And in that tsunami, you said that if that's PLMIO, if I have not, if I didn't make incorrect statement here, and if I'm incorrect, correct me. If that PLMIO cannot return back to the table, even the tsunami they don't want, they will face it. If you said that statement, and you understand, No, go. Okay, thank you. When you made that statement, and you know very well why the SPLMI was returned, and in addition to that, you went far and you said even an American senator, senator from the United States, is also involved with the Tumaini group. Then the SPLMIO must have a case to make in here, because if the tsunami, according to you, or Tumaini according to those who came up with it, is a Jaim Bukriga or Ramzol Kabir. And the Tanami guys, they understood very well with our Tamani, they mind them high Salam. Because they were not part of September 12, 2018, because there was no, Malone was rejected. Again, at the time, there's nothing going on as PLM. Mind them judge in the ground, because you cannot have a power, the mind judge in the ground, and now they are coming with a powerful force. And they are going to come in to become a power balance. A power balance in the government that will threaten that FLMIO from its existence. So I want you to answer that question when the time comes. That's a question for you. Tell us, if the FLMIO cannot return, then they will be faced with a tsunami. Question, but Kenyi, I like the way you brought things up in the first place. You said that the power should be given to the people. And in that statement, you agree that the election is the only way forward in South Sudan. That because of the power to be given to the people, and that means you admit to the power of the people of South Sudan. Also, in the Gulta, it talk about ambition. It said that the ambition, people are supposed not to be ambitious based on the statement. It's not good but based on the way of your interpretation, it meant that. Isn't manner those who are in the opposition, they're supposed not to have too much ambition over the power they are going to acquire, but also they're supposed to think about the people of South Sudan and leave behind their ambition. These are very powerful still, my brother. This Al-Kilmatenda Barada, this actually can inspire people. So, in contact with this statement, these two words, and based on your opposition, if you are armed opposition or opposition in the government, have you shared these ideas, the thought of yours, the way you think? Did you share with them? And if yes, then what were their response? The question, Kenyi, and I'm very actually proud of you for the statement you made earlier. This is Mading. Mading, I think you talk about forgiveness. I think it was you. Mading, if you talk about forgiveness, and you understand very well we are dealing with people who came from the war zone. Those who the revolutionaries. Umafi Dolo Fidunia, Yoga Babo Tamo, are the same people who fought the war for the last 30 years or 20 something years, will be the same people who lead the country in the win. Magari Hassan, Lakin Hassan to Sudan. And if we say that we have to forgive each other, are we going to forgive each other according to the theology, ideas, or according to the natural rule of law? So I want you to answer that, my brother, when your time comes. With that one, Yakani, Edmund will like about one thing about you. Al-Shabaab, but there were keep those Khartoum. Al-Ghali Halil, the Ugadin also and the East African brothers, because we divide ourselves into categories. And categorizing ourselves in such stages, it becomes a destruction to the South Sudan. Another Ghali, Rwakip, the Sudan, not Sudan getting it. I can get a Shaifin Ben at Tanami. I don't know to pronounce this. I don't know how this you came with the Tamani, the Vatican. And I don't know why you didn't get it. And they are not ready to allow Sudan, so now it becomes the college of ideas. And with that one, I use the mic back, and I would love to have the answer for my three questions. We should go and get.
All right, thank you so much, Mulana. A good one. All right, back to the studio. The answers to a good wine. We start with Mr. Edmund Yakani. The floor is yours. Open your mic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to answer him on the statement I made. I don't know if you remember when we are revitalizing the agreement. SPLMIG rushed as further as declaring 28 states and 32 states. And we've been telling them that this move of declaring more states against the 10 states is not something that they can swallow. One day, one time, whether they like it or don't like it, they will reverse back to 10 states. And I think it has been reversed back to 10 states. So my statement I make, it's a tsunami is going to be like that. That anyway, if this Tumaini fail, honestly, the stability of the country is under big consequences. And that's what we're saying. Please, as a political party, keep on bargaining on the table. You have the right to seek clarity. You have the right to reserve your signature, but keep seeking clarity on the table. And that's the reason why I made it, because it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a disaster. As we speak now, the livelihood of the common citizen is running out of hand. You have seen strikes have been going. You don't blame anybody, you blame Artigono. So they're supposed to stand as Artigono and see how can they fix the current situation in the country. Then splitting up. So that's the background where I came from, and that's the background where I'm trying to mention that particular issue. The Senate, you can see his statement is there. If you want, I can share with you his statement. He made his statement. It's very clear, urging the Senate to really stand with the people of South Sudan, because I think the political instability we have now is too much. My brother, there are people here who are unable to get 3 meals per day. Some families have breakdown. Their children are on the streets. And even their children can commit a crime, which they don't intend to commit a crime because they're seeking livelihood. But look at 90% of these politicians, that whether you have affiliation to them or not, where are their families? Their families are out of Juba. I'm someone who travel a lot. I see most of their children fly in business class, either Ethiopia Airline, either Uganda Airline, or KQ. Where do they get the money? Where their children are flying business class? Look at their houses, look at the protection they have. And even their bodyguards are healthy than the overall members of the security institutions. There are strikes. As I speak with you, one of the schools in Juba Town, Juba 1, the teachers have laid down tools. Why? It's because of political instability. We're trying to seek for something and they're trying to jeopardize the things. And you can see on your own eye the risk that is coming. So that's what I'm saying. If Tumaini fail, honestly, we'll go back to consequences. And let me tell you, by the way, I'm somebody who works in early warning system. All the indicators of 2016 are building up. All the indicators of where we return back to violence of 2016 is building up. We can see pocket of incidents happening. We can see scenarios that are happening. It requires just one person to blow up. So why don't you go back to the negotiating table, bargain on the table, seek the best way? Because since you're the initiator of this process, and as I say, in the beginning, we were so happy. We praised Ayo so much when they called for inclusivity. Because I've been worried that some people will be left out. But at least Ayo in Rome, his second and first vice president, made a very, very remarkable call. But today, look at it. So that is why I'm saying that let them take up really responsibility. Instead of withdrawing, let them go and seek the clarity. And one thing that is disturbing me, my brother, the chief mediator was here in Juba. The chief mediator briefed them here. Have they failed to have a time with the chief mediator to seek clarity? He was here in Juba. He briefed in the Council of Ministers. He was staying, and I know they are friends. They could have communicated. They would have sought clarity. The only thing there's unknown fear. There's a fear of the unknown. And for how long should we subject ourselves to the fear of the unknown? As I told the spoilers, not only Ayo. Now does IGU have joined the Ayo as spoilers in Juba for Tumaini because they believe that this particular agreement is coming with shift of power. Some of them doesn't want to lose their power. So who dare claim to be the right South Sudanese to determine the political transition of this country? Because of what? Who are they? Are we in animal farm? That some animals are more equal than others? My friend, the charcoal maker in the bush is equal as anybody in the presidency. So should we take advantage upon our people and we say we're political elites? So for me, that's what I want to tell you. Bin it IG, bin it IO, bin SOA, bin OPP. They are spoilers. All of them are happy when the citizen continue suffering. Because their children eat well, they're not in Juba. Their families fly around in business class, while even here, some of the common citizens' families are unable to fly from one area to another because of community insecurity. What political scenario do you want to show? And that's why most people are telling us in the world that South Sudanese leaders, they are much more self-centered. Their personal interest is too much obsessed above the interest of the country. And it is true, by the way. Those will make comments like that. It's true. So this is my answer to you, that let's take responsibility. There's no any South Sudanese better than the other. If we believe that because of opportunity we have got, and this opportunity empower us to sanction the rest of the citizens to suffer, then what politics are we playing? Can we say we have gone to school, we have learned it? What education have we got? Can we say we're political leaders and we claim that we need to govern the country and we need democratic transformation in the country? So for me, those are my answers. And I tell you, like what I told the government, like when they declare that Tuesday, we say, whether you like it or don't like it, you will return it to 10. And they return it. They can't present states. They didn't walk away with it. It's the same thing. They would withdraw. They cannot walk away with the withdrawal. They will come back to the table. Because the stability of this country is above interest of everybody. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Edmund Yakani. Ustaz Mading, will you come first or Kenyi?
I think Kenyi will come first and then I'll come.
All right, then no worries. Engineer Kenyi, further.
Thanks, Brother Isaac. Could you repeat the gentleman's question to me again? Sorry, Maulana Agot.
Maulana Agot, yeah. Come on, come.
Let skip it. Let the next person answer the question.
All right. Alas, Ustaz Mading, further. God will come back later.
Okay. Thank you, Mulana Good, and thank you, Isaac, and my colleagues in the studio. I think the question Maulana directed to me is about the forgiveness, and he was talking about people who came out from war zone. In fact, forgiveness is the right thing we can ask people who are coming out from war zone or war situation for the last 23 years or 30 years to be part of our healing process. And that is one of the main protocols which has been initial in Nairobi, talks about confident buildings, and also there is another protocol talking about the communal violence conflict among the citizens. By saying that, it is a requirement of the day, and human being has been going through challenges and conflicts. And we are not exceptional, or we are not the first people in the world or first country to go through wars. There are so many wars being fought in different parts of the world. But when people sit down, we need to reconcile as human. And the reconciliation started even within yourself and within your own family, within your own clan, and within your own country. And if we go back to all religions, forgiveness is a cornerstone. And if you could agree with me in Christianity, when Jesus was crucified, he said, "Forgive them, they don't know what they are doing." we don't want to have that cycle of revenge, because cycle of revenge create hatred, and hatred create division, and division lead to the fragmentation, and also our country may collapse. Therefore, when we talk about healings and forgiveness, it is a common responsibility of all of us, the citizen, the politician, the civil society, the faith-based group, the entire nation, plus international community, and also the region to support us for that. Let us start to do that. And it's fundamental right for us to live in harmony and reconcile as citizens of one country. It's not difficult that people who came out from war zone, they cannot reconcile and they cannot forgive each other. We have tried it in Nairobi. We said we forgive each other. That's the reality. Why not we cannot try it in South Sudan to do the same? I think we can do it. And this hatred and grievances we keep among ourselves, they're hindering the peace and movement of country forward. If you take this issue and look into it in broad base, we see the victims are the innocent people of South Sudan who have nothing to do with the grievances and differences among the politicians who have created a situation where we are in. As I mentioned before, most of our problems within the country are man-made problems, which can be addressed by the man, which can be addressed by those people who created it. That's why we need those people who are part of the problem to be part of the solution. And I think I have answered your question, and I will stop here. And I will continue to preach for forgiveness and peace and reconciliation among our communities. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Ustaz Mading. We move straight forward to.
Yeah, one second, I'll answer the question didn't answer properly. The question to Mading, you talk about forgiveness, and I mentioned, is this forgiveness going to be used, and which tool are this tool going to be through? Ideologies, ideas, meaning that using Kanai or not the religious ideologies to come and advise us how to forgive each other, or this forgiveness will be used as a moral law, because moral law means you have to apply Qanun al-Mawjud in order, because there's no way you can forgive someone who have killed 10,000. You cannot forgive someone who has stolen millions of dollars. It doesn't happen that way. So that's why I want you to answer me. Do you mean to forgive them using a theology? Or theology with Akanisa, or other, denominations or other religions, we have known. Or the national, law. That's the clarification I want to base the answer that one. Otherwise, this answer will not be complete.
Okay, Ustaz.
Yeah, okay. Let me put it like this. When we talk about forgiveness, because we have political issues which create this situation where we are. There are criminal things being committed. Those are treated as crimes, but there are political issues which led to these crimes to happen. We need to address them properly, and we need to come up with forgiveness. And there are examples. We cannot reverse the history. We cannot bring back those people whom we lost. There are people who are being killed in communal violence, and there are people who are being killed in cold blood, and we know who are responsible in those killings. And we are not saying that we are in opposition, we are innocent. We also we commit some in opposition, they committed crimes, they committed mistakes, they also participate maybe in killings. The same thing that people in the government, there are people who and the government of national Artigono, the people who committed crimes. But if we take an example of Rwanda, example of South Africa, how did people come together and reconcile? And this can be applied in South Sudan in different way. The methodology we can use. And this is not the new something in South Sudan. Even on tribal basis, our chief and tribes and elders, they sit together if there is any conflict among their communities, and people come together and they forgive each other and they move forward. This is not something new. This concept came, it's not ideological things. It came from our way of life, our tradition, our heritage. But that does not mean if somebody commit a crime directly, for example, I know Mr. X killed Mr. B or Mr. A killed Mr. X, that we just go and forgive. No, that's a crime will be treated. But for example, if people had a fight, and we have seen in 2013, many people have been killed, the number could be thousands. How we are going to solve that problem? Are we going to go from village to village and investigate who killed who? And then we bring them to the court. We know it was a political issue which led to a violence within the country. Therefore, all these political leaders who are there, we are urging them, including us in opposition, let us come together, forgive ourselves, each other, and let this country move forward. Otherwise, the people of South Sudan, they have a right. This is one of the protocol. We are not the supreme that to say, oh, people of South Sudan, they don't have any right for accountability. They have a right to account each and every one, whether it's a politician or not a politician. But this is the way we look into it. We have to come out with a solution which can make us to move forward. But if we just staying in the same status, in the same political situation and differences and hatred, I don't think that we will move forward and we will remain the same. I hope this time I managed to answer your question the way you want it. But that's my concept of forgiveness. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ustaz. You made it. We left with only one person, and that's all for the clubhouse questions. Gabriel Majong Tai, you have been very patient. Thank you so much for being patient and being with us from the beginning for almost 3 hours now. No, Mulana, we are running out of time. Please, let me just move on. Yeah, I'll come back to you later. Gerald Majok, Gabriel, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, then. Put in your question, please.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, I would like to thank Brother Madid. Madid, thank you so much in particular because you have been really doing a very great job hosting people, the Tumaini Initiative participants, and also the government official in Juba. So thank you for that. I would like to thank also Brother Yakani and Kenyi and Mading for also having devoted your time for this, giving us your time. Thank you so much for that. Yes, before I go to my question, it is always very good to know the root cause of something. You cannot solve a problem when you don't know the root cause of something. It will be very difficult, First of all, why RCs are the difficulties in implementation? Why RCs is not being implemented as we expected with the South Sudanese citizen? Why? There are 3 reasons, according to me, Gabriel. There are others, but there are 3 reasons that make RCs implementation a little bit complicated. One, the president is not happy with the 5 vice presidents, and this mistake actually should have been avoided during the negotiation. Number two, the hybrid court. There are people, the artist parties, the parties to the agreement, they want to boycott, they want to escape this justice protocol, the provision. They don't want hybrid court. The third, you have people who have defected from SPLIO, and then you have also people who were once the NCP, the National Congress Party members, South Sudanese who were in the north, and then they came back to Southern Sudan, and then now they become a part of SPLM, mainstream, the SPLM IG. So these people who defected from SPLIO, they gang up with these guys who were once members of the National Congress Party under Omar Bashir, and then they form an alliance. They gang up, and they made a strong group that is against Machar, anti-Machar, anti-IO gang. So these three problems made artists implementation very complex. That are the three things that I need to underline here. Now, going to my question. Now people are talking like Tumaini is going to be implemented 100%. My question is, why will the Tumaini initiative or peace be implementable and not ARCIS? Because here, it is like you are now, you have not managed an old woman, your first wife, and you want to manage a new wife. So I need the brothers because I studied logic. I don't accept things easily until like somebody convince me very well. I don't get it well. Why would people advocate for a new thing when the old one is not managed properly? That is the first question. Why do some people think Tumaini will be implementable more than answers? Will the five president are going to be removed, or what is it? I don't understand it. That is the first question. The second question is the reason why IO reacted negatively. First of all, IO, they are not against peace. I need to make this very clear. If they were against peace, they wouldn't be in Juba today. The problem why IO is a little bit skeptical is because of the language used by the Tumaini participants. First of all, they call the artist dead. The language they are using appear to be like they wanted to abrogate the artist. They want it. Tumaini to be like, they see Tumaini is like the best. The best. They call it even rescuing Southern Sudan. So the language used by the Tumaini, some Tumaini participants, is what led the young Machar become skeptical. Because what is politics? Politics actually is about interest and influence. It's about interest and
brother, before you go, can I ask you another question?
I don't think.
Hang on tight, Gabriel. You have a question here. Yeah. Go ahead, Edmund.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Can they show me
I'm not really have 2 questions more. Okay.
How long, what time do you want for Artigono to deliver peace and stability in the country with our access, if our access is a better agreement?
Okay, yeah, that question. Or you have more? You have more questions?
No. Answer that question. Yes, there is no more.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Brother Yakani. That question even is to you. It is not to Gabriel, who is actually. I'm not living in Southern Sudan, nor I a member of ARSIS. But you like Yakani, you were a member. You are civil society activist, and you are a participant, and you were also in ARSIS in Addis Ababa during the agreement. So the question actually goes back to you, like, how long do you want ARSIS to be implemented, or why is it not being implemented, and why are you not able even to address the root cause that led the ARSIS not implementable? So the question actually, to be honest with you, is not to Gabriel, like, how long do I want? If I were a member, actually, I would give you an answer, but I'm not. I'm not a member of these old groups in Juba or Tumaini. I'm an activist and I'm also an analyst. So the question actually goes back to you, Mr. Yakani. Like, how long do you want ARSIS be extended? And why are you not able to address why is it not implementable? You know? So the question goes back to you. I don't have an answer for that question at all.
Okay.
Yes. May I go to the second one? The second one is actually those of Honorable Paganamu used to say that they don't want, or they didn't want any position, any power sharing with the government. They used to call for roundtable conference where the root causes will be addressed. Now, when you talk about the roundtable conference, that is actually reconciliation and healings, and South Sudanese can dialogue. Now I want to know what has changed, because it seems now this Tumaini Initiative, it will end up actually sharing power with the government in Juba. So I need to know what has changed with the call that used to be called by those of Pagana Moon. I need them to tell me now, have they changed their position? Are they going to end up the power sharing? Or what is it? Yeah, thank you. I will stop here.
All right. Thank you so much, Gabriel. We will throw we'll just give the microphone to the studio. These questions will be answered by 3 of them or 2, and it will be the final questions. No more from the clubhouse. Thank you. We have to start with Edmund, and then we move to Ustaz Mading or Kenyi.
Thank you, Isaac. Listen, when we say our access, for example, let me give you, where are we convinced? When the extension of the roadmap was done, I'm one of the person that took a standpoint that let's give them one more chance. Okay? We give them the chance of 24 months. Nothing was implemented completely. 24 months clean. And you are really champions of the extension of 24 months. And I remember when we are in Freedom Hall, His Excellency First Vice President have told people that some people attack Yakani because they feel Yakani is being bought by the government, simply because they don't know what is going on. But then His Excellency First Vice President. And there I asked them, what miracle are they going to perform in the 24 months that they failed to perform in the 3 years? And you can go to records, you can find the speeches there. For me, it's not that Tumaini is going to be the best. There's no perfect agreement in this world, by the way. There's nothing called perfect agreement. Agreements are political processes that you can deliver at least 80% or 90%. Then you can finish the rest. What is the problem with the current status quo? People in the current status quo are enjoying the way the government is going. And right now, they are faced with the challenge of extension. Actually, to the best of my knowledge, I know people in IO, I know people in IG, I know people in SOA who have who want to see Tumaini quickly assigned so that they get extension. Because if you follow the process that declared by the Electoral Commission, 22nd September, which is 1 month to go, the government is supposed to be dissolved. And that's what I'm saying, whether they like or not, they'll come back because they're faced with challenge of political legitimacy of existence. So for me, it's a question of political attitudes. Several times we have said that actually the incumbent government is not interested to deliver the agreement. And even we have reached to the level of naming people who are obstacles, who like to enjoy. Look at the game of the 10 million that happened in the parliament. That's a live evidence that tells you. And it's one side you have been grilling. The other side, if you also check on them, they have similar cases. Whoever is the Artigon, they're not completely clean. Everybody have their own excuse in their own limitation. Why should you come for unification of forces with the sticks? And also the government came with the sticks. Where is the political, what are the political calculations here? If a genuine. Are you telling us you have recruited new civilians for unification if you have a political trust? So both parties, SPLM and SPLM-IO, does not track political transition in the country, and thus they keep exchanging, blaming each other. And that's why, because of that, when we call for lean government, you see a unity of the parties in Artigono. No lean government. Government remain intact, including IO, by the way. When it's okay, let's go for technocratic government. What is technocratic government? All of them does not want, because they're enjoying the status quo that are going right now. And that's why we're trying to look in a very constructive manner, productive manner. How do we overcome the challenge that we have seen the last 5 years? And that's what Tumaini is trying to repair. That's why there's a bit of restructuring of the mechanisms, specifically mechanism for South Sudanese. Because our access is being made as a property of the president and first vice president. The two can decide to go, the two can decide not to go with it. Since our access was formed, they only met twice at the level of presidency. And while the presidency is a mechanism that is supposed to deliver political decisions for the implementation of our access. And I'll assure you, my brother Gabriel, I don't want to go and name people, but we have seen all the parties in our access. Their families have gained huge amount of money. Especially at the presidency level. Contracts that are fake contracts. Why should we protect people who are, when they unite, they loot us. When they disagree, they kill us. Why should we? Why don't we go to the bush again? But because we believe that violence is not the option. Now they're united, they're looting us. Let them disagree tomorrow, they'll kill us. Should we do the same thing? No. That's why we're trying to show maturity. That look here, let's go and negotiate. It's not that Tumaini is perfect, but we're looking for practical, functional options as an alternative. Unless if you believe that you want to continue the status quo as it is, and we keep watching at you, you will extend yourselves until to grave, by the way. But you're extending yourself to grave on the expense of our resources. Children were given contracts, in-laws were given contracts, daughters of in-laws were given contracts. And here schools are closing. And are saying we are political leaders of this country. What political leaders are you? All of you in Artigono, you are all equal. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Edmund. Ustaz Mading. Let me just respond to Jacob. Jacob, we gave you chance before, but you misuse your chance and you just go straight to the attacking, and you beat around. You didn't go straight to the main topic or to the point. So we have some of the people here. It's very late. We were supposed to have only 1 hour in this interview, but now it took us 3 hours. So I can't see there is anything that you need to add in here or to ask again. We respect you. That's why we leave you on the floor here.
How do you know, brother?
Yeah, I know you. Yes, I know you. If we respect, I respect you to leave you on the platform here. We should just, if we could just do it in the way other people do it in their rooms, it wouldn't be good. but I left it that way, knowing when I will respond to it. So if you have a question, please be firm and go direct to question. No personalities attack, no complaint, and all these things. Such that we have to have a constructive political argument or maturity at least. Let's show that. For that.
Isaac, before he continue, there's an echo. We don't hear very well from his mobile and what he's using. There's an echo. If you could write down that question, it would be better. You can just tell us, because I can't really understand what he's
because Edmund Yakani is for the whole South Sudan. It's a civil society, representative of the people. So I don't know where the personal attack here. But let me go to my question now. This is the complementary of this Tumaini. It seems like Edmund Yakani is very optimistic of the Tumaini initiative. It seems like to him, it can produce to us a genuine peace and stability of the country. To my question to him, what I do understand, and many of them is sharing that view, is this: when you go for the constitutional conference that can bring the genuine and stability of our country, then there is no any political movement outside the country or any military movement. That is why, first of all, let me introduce my personality. I belong to the National Salvation Front. We call for the National Consensus Forum. We stop what is called bilateral dialogue or discussion or negotiation, because we negotiate ourselves in the position, but that will not bring the genuine and stability of the country. So let us call for the conference, National Consensus Conference, all stakeholders to come to the table and talk. And whatever coming out from them should put into the provision to be implemented. And implement this stack, Artigono or RCs or whatever name it, should be implemented. If, for example, the National Consensus Forum in the roundtable conferences and produce to us what is called a small transitional government that can implement this stack RCs and create to us the conducive environment for the election, fair and balanced election, why not? And it is the continuation of national dialogue initiated by President Salva Kiir himself. But people of the Republic of South Sudan is spoken. And later on, Salva Kiir is put down into the rubbish because people is spoken their views, and that views is not comprehended what Salva Kiir expected supposed to be, and he down into the rubbish. So it is the continuation of, if people is spoken, then people is the sovereign. Salva Kiir ruling the country, ruling us, and we are a sovereign. We are the republic. So he did not say that I don't want this or I don't want this. The people is a power. If he believes that this election, he has a popular people to vote him in, then let him stand aside with the other politicians. So transitional government will be formed and implement as like what happened in the Sudan, the Khartoum before, when the Mary withdrawn or thrown, and then parties are messed up. The transitional government formed for the party to reinstate it themselves and create the conducive environment for election. And yet it happened successfully. Why not for us? Because I have seen like we mess ourselves. So why not this time? And then we go to the constitutional conference, whereby nobody will be outside opposition. We should be, all the stakeholders should be in. Because our aim is the stability of the country, not only our position in the government, to be inclusive in the government. What we are aiming is the stability of the country and the newborn of our country. So our country is going in the wrong direction. This is just my conclusion of my point of this tsunami. Is he's not going to earn at anything rather than just a mess. If you are going to what are you going to to make it as a genuine peace, while other people are outside there opposing still. How are you going to embrace those who are outside there? Do you think that when you even achieve whatever in the Tumaini there can produce to us what is called a genuine peace and stability of the country, while other people are outside there opposing? I think the Tumaini is not going to produce to us any sort of stability in the country. While the only venue that can guarantee us in the genuine peace and stability of the country is National Consensus Forum. National Consensus Forum in the round table that can produce to us what is called a new bone of our nation. Thank you so much, Medid and Rob, for giving me the second opportunity. So I myself will go down there and listen down there. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, Jacob. Before you go down, Jacob, I just want to respond to you very quick. You member of NAS, you guys need to stop attacking Edmund Yakani whenever we bring. Other day, Uncle Lado attacked Edmund, same in this platform. And same thing repeated today. So you NAS member need to stop doing that, okay? So you guys refuse to join a Nairobi peace talk. That's your decision. You should not put the blame to Inamun or to, let's say, media or to anyone else. If it is your decision, say that you don't want your leader, Chairman General Thomas Rilo, to join the peace talk, okay? And you have your reason why you don't want to join the peace talk, okay? And we have been advised you guys through the social media that the peace is the only tool to unite the citizens of South Sudan. But you guys don't want a peace. You want to say that you refuse to go to Nairobi for the safety of your leader. All the opposition are there and nothing happened to them. So please, my advice to you guys is stop personal attack, okay? So we are Junubin. We don't see everything regarding about regionalism or tribalism. We are a South Sudanese. Let's accept ourselves as a South Sudanese before we divide ourselves as a tribe or as a regionalism, okay? But that's what the campaign you NAS member are doing in social media. Whenever you guys bring to see that we brought Edmund Yakani or any young person in the state media, you guys always come and attack that person. Okay? That's not how the tribal politics is not what we need South Sudan to go through. So I advise you, my brother Jacob, due to respect, let's say media has been known as a voice of voiceless. We welcome all the voices in this media platform, regardless our political differences regarding what you believe, but we welcome any voice. Your opinion is welcome in this, but let us be mature enough not to attack a person in personality, label a person or kind of name, while you don't have evidence to show that. So that's a friendly, a brother or a brotherhood, South Sudanese citizenship advice from all of you, NAS member. If you see that you come to this media platform, please come as a person with your opinion, respectful, and have your question. Not go around and attack personal personality. Okay? Those things are not, those are for the Yasukarim. Okay? So thank you. Isaac, I hereby confess you.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Madam. But I want to remind you that Lodu is not a member of National Salvation Front. Don't mix things up. He's just in other organization. Yes, you justify.
Separatists are not are one. Separatists are
it is up to you, but that is a different organization. That I want to remind you. Thank you so much. So, by now I am going down. Thank you so much. But we know we are just a Mushwa people. We analyze things. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Jacob. It's all right. Thank you.
Yeah, Jacob. Yeah, Isaac.
Kalas, ya jama, nabdolu for clubhouse. Let we give our guests their final remarks, please.
Isaac, one second, but can you answer my question? Kenyi, please.
what is then come up with your question, Agwat. Yeah, he didn't pick up your point. That's why he asked you, and you said that you are somewhere. I will come back after 5 minutes. That's why he didn't respond. And I was making a correction. Yeah, there is no one again to come up. All right, we are just coming for conclusion. Thank you, Ustaz Mading and Edmund Yakani. You guys, I will give you each 2-3 minutes to wrap it up, and we will be closing the room. So, start with Edmund.
Thank you very much. My message is that politics without maturity, without discipline, is a disaster. When you have political maturity and discipline, and one of the indicators is that you should embrace constructive dialogue. And once you invest constructive dialogue, it means you will embrace diversion in opinions and ideas, because it's partly the principle of democracy and good governance is that we are not all one. We may have a different ideological way of thinking, but that does not mean that we should use it for championing violence. For those who believe that I'm cheap and they believe that they can attack me, most of them knows I'm not new in this career. I've been in this career for long. It's an option that I opt to be in it. It's only ignorance. Sometimes people are ignorant. They believe that you belong to that. And I would like to convey a message to everybody. Don't think that once I'm close to your enemy is my enemy. These statements, Mandela have said it several times, and telling people that one of the mistakes of intellectuals that they just zero conclusion. Because I'm in Juba, Juba is run by IT Gono automatically, I'm compromised. Anyway, as I say, do research, learn about who we are. But as for me, I stand on the ground that South Sudan is above every person's interest. It is the South Sudan that we want to do for it, not South Sudan to do for us. So that's my message. I have nothing else more. I'd like to say, let's open a new chapter for South Sudan we want. And that new chapter, we should repair the broken social fabric. Violence takes us nowhere. You can argue for violence for years, but it helps nobody. What comes and what goes around, it will come back around. So how much we want to use violence as option means is destructive. Look at our country now because of violence, why it is. So anyway, everybody has his own option. My option is that non-violence is a principle of fixing our country. Non-violence is an option for us to pave a successful political transitional process in our country. And I believe that when we dialogue constructively with each other, we will discover innovative and creative ways where one day we find ourselves in the end point, we're shaking hands and we say, yes, in the past we made mistakes, but from today, we're starting a new pathway. And that is where Tumaini is. And of course, people will disagree with the Tumaini. Let's wait and see if the best option or fight. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Edmund. Engineer Michael Kenyi, you have 2 minutes for your final remarks to the public.
Thanks, Brother Isaac. It's appreciated. This one thing, I'm just following on from what Brother Edmund has just mentioned on. Peace is not about hatred. Peace is about forgiveness. It's about love. It's about taking the wrong that has been done to you and convert it into love and forgiveness and embrace those who harm you and educate them. Sometimes ignorance plays a part in violence. And it is the responsibility of us all to enhance peace by building bridges that unite the people. How do you build these bridges? You build these bridges by talking to each other, by understanding the concerns and the issues that the other person has, and expressing your concern to the other person so that the two of you can be united in the values of what unites you and work on those that divides you and resolve your differences as brothers and sisters. For us to be able to develop our country and bring our country out of the chaos that has been created before us, we need to come out with a strategy of how we can once again reunite our country and build our country together. And we can only do that if we learn the art of forgiveness and have that heart to trust and support each other. I hope through this dialogue process, it will open up all those concerns and issues that individuals have and direct us in the right path of achieving peace in our country. And we are open to continue the dialogue and express our views as openly as we can to those who are willing and interested to share in the dialogue and journey with us in that process of achieving peace for our country. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Bachmandis, Michael Kenyi. I'll give you the floor, Mr. Ustaz Mading Wade. You have 2 minutes to wrap it up. Your final remarks. Thank you.
Thank you again, Isaac. I would like to thank Lagos State Media for hosting us tonight, or whatever the time in different part of the world. Abraham Madid, Isaac Piang, all the audience in Clubhouse, and the viewers on Facebook as well, YouTube. And I would like also to thank my colleagues Edmund Yakani and my colleague engineer Michael Kenyi, and the entire leadership of opposition who are still continuing negotiating on behalf of the people of South Sudan in Nairobi. Also the civil society and their role keep up continue to push for peace in our country. I have nothing much to say. It's just to thank you all. And one thing I would like to emphasize is the last remark made by the last speaker from Clubhouse. This peace agreement, the Tumaini peace talks, is not owned by individuals. If it's come into the agreement, will be owned by the people of South Sudan. And this will give hope to the people of South Sudan. A human being always live with hope. Our intention is not to exclude anyone, and we are still open, and we embrace whoever want to join the peace talks. And the door is open for all brothers who are not on the table with us, like our brothers in Soma, Gerald Simon Gerwich, and other oppositions. Also, I want to emphasize on one thing, that we don't have that differences. There could be some few differences in opinion, but still we work side by side with our brothers, like in NAS, those in NAS and other oppositions. We still, all of us, we are members of NCF, which we meet sometime from time to time and exchange our views. That does not mean that there is no any floor where we can continue to dialogue. The dialogue is the main things. We're not against round table, but also the constitutional making process is another opportunity for people of South Sudan and opposition to express their own views, whatever the system of governance they wanted. At last, not the least, is that what I want you people of South Sudan is to stand behind the peace, to support the Tumaini, those who are back in the country, those who are in refugee camps, those who are in diaspora. We need to mobilize ourselves and stand for peace. What we need is not always, you think as people of South Sudan that the peace is belong to elites. That concept needs to change. We need to work for this peace as our right, and we are the custodian for that peace. If we manage to do that, we will be able also to challenge the elites. But if we just stand and we shy away and we hope that the elite are the one that having this peace, we will go nowhere. I will thank you all, and God bless you, and God bless South Sudan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ustaz Mading Wade, and thank you, Mr. Edmund Yakani. Thank you, Bashmandis Michael Kenyi, and all our audience in Clubhouse and in Facebook, YouTube. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for your contribution for the questions that you raised. The show will end up here, and we will meet up again in the next shows that will still come up as long there are progress going on in Nairobi Peace Talk and even in Juba. Discussions or dialogues are moving around. So may God bless you. May God bless people of Republic of South Sudan, and may God bless our country and the people who are hunting for peace. Thank you. Have a good night, good day, good afternoon, wherever you are tuning in.
Thank you.
Contiara okin you, achiliu, on you, nerun gadie, Contiara okin you, achiliu, Toyina Pia wala rumbe, Kain Ping William, Toyina will wala Pibor, Kain Ping William, Toyin Juba, Palatori. Yo, in Ping William, so in Benti, wala kwaju, kaya wow, in Ping William, so in Malkal, wala Pinyaram, in Ping William, Pandil Legisted in Amiam Baiban, Pinyara, where in Amiam Wawadia, Pindil Legisted in Amiam Baiban, Pinyara.
The process in Tumaini is about abrogation of the RRCs. RRCs is the framework which resolves the conflict in the Republic of South Sudan. It brought relative peace. It ended the war which started in 2013.
The war was devastating in terms of loss of lives, which started as targeted killing of particular group, and then it engulfed the entire country. Destructions of property and so on. Humanitarian catastrophe was unleashed. So the peace which was signed in 2015 and later revitalized in 2018 brought an end to all this confusion. And we are happy about that. We know we have challenges of implementation of the agreement in terms of lack of political will, in terms of the delayments, refusal to fund the process, or even where money has been released, like what we dealt with the Minister of Cabinet Affairs. You find that still this money doesn't reach the intended institutions, eaten. So we have been dealing with a lot of violations of the agreement. Security arrangements violated, attacks on cantonments, incentivized defections, you even see it, delayments and so on. We put up with it, not because we don't know what is going on. We know what is going on. But we decided to put up with it because we want peace and the best for the Republic of South Sudan. The dawn of 2024, we knew this is the end of the roadmap and the transitional period. We knew that. And with the agreement not implemented, we expect the unexpected. Unless we have consensus with our partners, the rest of the parties to the agreement. Should our partner, the SPLMIG, in the name of the IT goal, decide to go unilateral, that means they will abrogate the agreement. If they want to hold elections, like what they say, they will abrogate the agreement, obviously. And the abrogation will mean they will have to open the agreement and come and amend the constitution, might be use their mechanical majority, push the amendment for the constitution to allow them hold elections. We were expecting that. But now, to our surprise, the process that we started in Rome, the Senegidio mediation, we thought we would continue in Nairobi. The Nairobi talks, we thought it will continue the Rome talks in terms of agenda, in terms of the substantive matters. Because in Rome, the talks started, say, actually in 2018, when Dr. Riek Machar Teng, the chairman of SPLA-IO and the commander-in-chief, requested Senegidio to mediate. Indeed, mediation did commence somewhere in 2019, and the discussion was to bring on board the whole group. And the question then was, what is the problem which made you not to sign the agreement? What is the problem? They, of course, did point out some issues, like in Chapter 6, in the constitutional making process, they did not want the Constituent Assembly. They wanted a referendum. That was noted by Senegidio as a subject for discussion, and other issues that they raised. But now when Tumaini started in Nairobi, we realized it's totally different issue. When we asked the mediators, they told us it is in accordance with the request of the president to his brother, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, that they should mediate. Okay? So, on that matter, I think the instruction that was given to the mediation, which we don't know the content, could be the devil in the details. Because clearly, Tumaini has become a new project, the link from Senegidio, and is taking a different dimension and is targeting the RRCs. Okay. Now, if parties who are not signatory to RRCs want to negotiate peace so that they come in, they have to bring new ideas. What if this negotiation had intensified in 2018 or 2019, when we were still in the pre-transitional period? Were they going to target the RRCs to say, you repeal it? Obviously not. Nobody will accept that. Even now, nobody will accept them to target the RRCs. Because the main parties that are involved or that were involved in the conflict since 2013, they are here in the RRCs and they are implementing the peace process, be it with a lot of challenges. That one can be a subject of discussion, but not in Tumaini. We can discuss it here, a process which has started. Actually, Tumaini cannot even evaluate the RRCs. They have not been here. They have not been signatories. They have not been here in the implementation. They don't know the challenges that we are facing or we have been facing with the implementation of the RRCs. It is us who can evaluate. It is us who can prescribe remedies to these challenges, and then we move the country forward. And who are these parties in Tumaini? One is that one headed by Malong, and we take Malong as an individual. Malong actually did not rebel. Malong himself is a culprit. Is a culprit of the collapse of the 2015 agreement. He attacked our forces inside 2 and also attacked the headquarters of the SPLM SPLA-IO inside 1. It was him who was the commander of the day, and it was him who was also the chief of defense. He moved forces to attack the security arrangements and he unraveled the entire piece. Malong continued, pursued us in running battles. We know that. And we know his role in mobilizing prior to 2013 crisis, Dudkuben, Matianganyor and so on. We know his role when he was the governor. Until the 2013 crisis unraveled here, where we had paramilitary force being favored, recruited and mobilized by Malong, and then we had the SPLA, which also explained at the time. Malong was relieved after serving his term in Bilfa as the chief of defense. He protested, we all saw it. He tried to go to Baragazan. They intercepted him here in Europe. And then they said concoction. They brought him back to Juba. There was tension in Juba. They then advised that, okay, you go and rest in Nairobi. When did he rebel? This is our question. When did Malong rebel? Pagan Amu. I'm told Pagan, Kosti Manibe. Kosti Manibe, by the way, is an MP here. He's an MP in the TNLA. And I'm told he's very sick. We wish him quick recovery. We don't enjoy suffering of human beings. We also have Oyaideng. Oyaideng has been moving around. He's with Pagan. We have Chirino Itai. The rest of their colleagues are here. In Juba, some of them are ministers, others are MPs. They hold out, they are outside. We want them to tell us what is the problem, why are they not coming in? MPs, they are already implementing Arusha Unification Agreement. Some of them. So for Pagan and his outfit, they are not contented. Let them discuss that with Salva Kiir and then they come and join the colleagues. We are not saying come and join the IO, join, no, they can go and join Salva Kiir. Okay? Then you have Boy, Ronya. Boy was an officer in the SPLA. He was court-martialed on charges and then sentenced. And he stripped off as part of his verdict. He was stripped of all his ranks and dismissed. We know that. Then he picked arms. Now I'm asking all these parties in the Tumaini, what is the root cause of their conflict with whoever is inside? But for us, IO, we have no conflict with them. All right? But they are trying now to bring us into conflict because they are touching the RRCs, which they are not signatories. So that is about Tumaini. We don't expect people who are not part of security arrangements, people even who have no cantonments around the country, because even Thomas Cirillo, who has been, whose forces have been attacking and laying road ambushes, is not even with them on the table. Okay? So they have no forces, they have no cantonment, they have no security arrangements to discuss with the government as far as unification, deployment of forces are concerned. They are not a stakeholder in this. But the argument is very clear. The forces that are to be unified are for IG, IO, and some few from SOA. MPs have no forces. The rest. So we don't expect these people to poke their nose into discussing matters of security arrangements when they are not a stakeholder. They are not. Because even if we tell them, okay, show us your force dispositions, which is a requirement of COHA and chapter 2 of the RRCs, they can hardly show anything. Not Pagan, not Malong, not, So, Tumaini to us is to bring these outfits on board by signing a consensus there, which will be an annex to other assets. Then we tackle the challenge of lack of implementation, lack of political will together. One of the arguments they gave in Tumaini, how do you bring the international community on board? This is what they are asking. How do you bring them on board? They have expressed interest to support South Sudan peace process through Tumaini only. Why? The international community, if they want to support the people of South Sudan, they must support the efforts of the parties. They must point out what they want to point out in Tumaini. Let them point out here in Juba to the parties. And they should apportion responsibility for failures of the peace process to each and individual parties of the RRCs. We have always been seeing balanced blame, even when one party has committed violations, they also blame the other one who is the victim of such violation. They blame them all together and so on. The international community, if they are really for the people of South Sudan and they want to support the people of South Sudan, they should work with the Article. They should not invent new will of 5 people at the table. They should not invent that. They should know the context of the conflict. Where is the stake? Who has the stake? What can return this country back to war? These parties, what are their stakes and the capacity of either bringing peace or returning the country back to war? They should define this one very clearly. Not to bog people discussing with 5 individuals or 9 of them that we want peace and so on. So this is about reminding it should be an annex to this process. Of course, I also learned you want to know about the way forward in the implementation. We are actually in the process of the inter-party dialogue. We have moved halfway, where the parties evaluated the status of the RRCs. I want the copy. Yes, we'll give you a copy. The parties evaluated the status of the implementation of the RRCs. They came up with a report. They initialed the report. That is the consensus so far that we have, the evaluation report. We are to move to the next level. This report should be presented to the parties to the agreement. And then the parties to the agreement will design the way forward based on this report. I know people are contemplating now that the parties want to extend their lives in government. Others are saying might be elections, may be held. Others are saying, well, the context, the situation, the circumstances for holding elections, which will be free, fair, and credible, does not exist. Yes, these are discussions that are there. The parties are engaged in considering all the options. But what I want to tell you, SPLM-IO, we are not taking chance in this discussion of the inter-party. We must understand clearly, first of all, what is the problem with implementation? How do we tackle lack of political will? I know Tumaini said they will tackle it. No. How can they impose it on the parties here or on the person who is lacking political will or the party who is lacking political will in the process of implementation? Unless they are part and parcel of this process, they cannot discuss it. So we will define what is clearly the problem and how do we resolve these problems, and how also do we hold free, fair, and credible elections, which will be peaceful, which will guarantee the interests of the voters. Because there is one thing here. There is one thing to vote, and there is another thing to lose your vote. You can vote, but the vote can be lost if it is not a free and fair, credible elections. The vote can be lost. So we want to secure the elections. We also want to secure the country. Actually, first is the security of the country. By implementing the provisions of the agreement, especially the prerequisites, on top is the security arrangements, where parties go to elections not as warlords or military movements and groups. Parties should go for elections with a unified force, which is not partition. They are not affiliated to any political party. And then they themselves also, the forces, will have an opportunity and a right to vote for a government and a leader of their choice. They will have that right to vote. But in a situation where the military are aligned to political parties, then you have a problem. Because there are chances that exchange of words, rhetorics, clashes of supporters, more so if these supporters are armed. What do you expect of this country? The international community must focus on these pertinent issues, not to waste time at a forum which cannot guarantee the peace and unity of this country. The presence of SPLM, SPLA-IO in Juba and in the peace process since 2018 has brought relative peace. And also some refugees and IDPs returned back to their places. But if these forces were not in the cantonments and in the barracks, despite the violations and so on, which we decided to put up with it, there would be war everywhere. Check, we have cantonments in all the states. You may have even in one state we have 2-3 cantonments, big ones. We also have assembly areas. We have areas that we control. Before the peace agreement in 2018, up to now, those areas are still under our control. How can parties go and begin campaigning if we have not implemented even the unification of forces, the reconciliation and healing and so on, and you don't have the permanent constitution? There is one thing about the permanent constitution which people should know very well. All the interests of the people of South Sudan is in the permanent constitution. Because of one or two things. The resolution of the conflict of the nature of the state and the system of government is an inherent rights and interests of the people of South Sudan. What kind of state do we want? How do you want to call it? How many states? You remember the 32 states, the 28 states, the 21 states, others talk of 3 states, others wanted 29 states. We managed in the RRCs to revert those states to 10. Those 3 administrative areas later were added. These issues are to be resolved in the permanent constitution. The issue of land conflict is a very thorny issue. Now we have the policy in parliament. We are going to discuss it. Land belongs to the people, or land belongs to the community. But obviously, you cannot separate the people and the land. Why? People don't consume air. They eat on the land. They cultivate the land. Those who keep cattle, the cattle graze on the land. 64 tribes of South Sudan, before South Sudan was an independent country, or before Sudan was an independent country, we all existed wherever we were. Others were in Equatoria, others were in Upper Nile, others were in Barakazal. They were there with their cattle or with their garden tools and so on. They were on the land. Their ancestors died and they were buried there. The first man in the Republic of South Sudan who decided to move away from his area, whether with the cattle or with the bare hands, to go and grab land that belongs to another community, to another people, say the people of Eastern Equatoria, or the people of Kabosa, the people of Bagari, or the people of Shuluk. You remember the conflict in the Tolonan, Padang and the Shuluk. The people who move from their areas to go and tamper with the property of their neighbors, they are the cause of crisis, and we want to resolve this crisis in the permanent constitution. Federalism is a very big factor. The national dialogue talk about it. The RSS talk about it. The RCs talk about it. The 1947 conference talked about it. The SPLM manifesto, 1983, talked about it. That's why we fought with the Khartoum tooth and nail, because of over-concentration of powers and resources at the center. We fought and lost millions of lives over this. Some people don't want the permanent constitution because they want to grab what belongs to the public, if it is about government power and resource, which is the Commonwealth, or they want to grab the property of others. They don't want Chapter 6. This is what is causing the lack of political will in the implementation. Meanwhile, there is also a question here in the Republic of South Sudan. Are we really equal citizens? Are we equal citizens? Or there are others who are more equal than others? In terms of employment, whether in the public sector or in the private sector, are we equal citizens? In terms of wealth sharing between the national government and the states and the local governments, are we equal citizens? In terms of appointment in the presidency, in the council of foreign missions, under secretaries, in the public service, are we equal citizens? If you go down to the street, you will get mixed answers. There are others who will say, yes, we are equal, because you have more of one community in the government, you have more of one community dominating petroleum sector, or two communities, you have more, they will say, this is now equal. This is what equality means. But there are those who have nothing. In foreign mission, you may have one or two ambassadors. And so on. In the NGOs.
Some of those NGOs.
Yes.
And UN.
Yes. So all this question of definition of citizenship and their rights, the equality of everybody, is to be defined in the permanent constitution. This is why we want it before elections. And it is a no-go zone that the agreement cannot be implemented because somebody doesn't want Chapter 6 or somebody doesn't want Chapter 5 and so on. So this is to tell you that the RRCs is the basis of the resolution of the conflict in the Republic of South Sudan. It addresses pertinent root causes to the conflict. So this is what I want to say. I hope I've answered all your concerns.
Almost all. But I'm glad you talk about this. I'm going to talk about land.
Yeah.
Because we're very interested in the issue of land.